Hello, hello, welcome. Sorry, trying to spell and I can't.
Hola.
Hola, welcome to Knit Night. I'm Liz,
Yes,
and
hola. ¿Cómo
Hola.
I'm
está?
joined by Therese and Amy and our good friend Tina from Aweneth Yarn and Fiber.
And a cat.
And a
Hey,
cat,
look,
because
baby.
Cat.
we almost always have cats.
Hey, Groucho.
Neil was supposed to be here, but he's not, and
He
think
has a
he's
lame
I'm sad about
excuse.
that.
It's
Exactly.
margarita day. If anybody
Um,
hasn't got their margarita,
Margarita,
I'm having one later.
because it's a little earlier for you, Liz. So it's understand.
It's 4:00. I'm having one a little later.
Since they told us we can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo, so
Don't tell us what we can and cannot do. We're Americans. We do what we want. Before I forget, we just heard from Joe Bob, and she is not able to do this Friday, so there will not be Friday Mayhem this week. Hopefully sometime soon. I don't know. She's really swamped at work. They have a huge big contract they're working on, so she is working overtime and she misses everybody. And if you're listening, Joe, we love you and we miss you.
Joe Bob.
You're
And I'm
stuck
sending
with
you a
us for a while.
package.
I want 3 pages when you come on.
I don't know if she can take notes when she's at work listening, Amy, so you
Oh,
might be
she's
off the hook.
she's taking notes, baby. Don't you get me wrong. She's taking notes.
How come she doesn't do notes for Nittler and Traditha? That's what she should be doing notes for. So welcome. If you've been before, thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. If you're new, we talk
Godspeed.
Bless your heart.
knitting,
Bless your
yarn, whatever's
heart.
going on in the world. Bless your heart. Everybody's welcome to chat and listen in. We don't exclude anybody unless you're a dick, so don't be a dick.
Yeah, definitely don't be a dick.
That's basically our rule.
Don't be a dick.
The
My
only
name
rule.
was like over my face, so I had to go straight.
The only rule. So what's everybody been up to?
Mayhem.
Shocking.
Shocking.
I have a request, and then I need to dish about my mail because apparently my sister and I don't podcast anymore. So if anybody was willing to test this for me, and I know I have people who do, and they're in the chat, so I will go in the chat, my little Telegram chat for the testers, and be like, "Yo, this is what I need y'all to do." So I'm to the point now where I need feedback before I proceed, and have a bunch of ends to weave in. So
Ooh,
I really
it's
like
inside out. It's
put
inside
me
out.
in your
so I can-
chat. Maybe
So-
I'll do it.
So I thought you were already in the chat. My
The double
like,
speak chat
double
or whatever.
speak.
That's a
Or-
super secret chat.
I think you're in there, but if not, I'll put you in there. I need to know how people feel about the width of the squares as it goes down your arm. You know, like because if it keeps getting wide and goes down, then you make a cuff. It's going to be that whole balloon thing. So I don't like the balloon thing, but maybe you do. But so I'm thinking just leave it short sleeve. But I need people to test that part.
You're already in there, Trees.
I am.
Yeah.
You probably have it muted. I do that all the time. I'm like, oh crap, I was muted.
These people talk too much.
Oh, I'm better. Debbie loves yarn. Thank you. I'm healing. I can't knit quite yet. I can knit about 15 minutes a day, and then that's it. So
Don't push it.
I'm feeling better. I don't feel quite like I got run over by a truck, but could be a lot worse.
that you're feeling bad.
It was
We
only
can't make one of our
2
star
minutes.
knitters.
Yeah, I have so many things to knit and write up and test knit, and yeah, everything's
That sucks.
getting delayed, but that's life. So
That is life.
you're doing is that acrylic you're using, Amy, or a combo, or
That's acrylic just because I was testing it. Like
Right.
ideally I'd like to make it in some other colors. So people can use what they want. They just have to make the squares 4 inches in whatever square design they want, you know? I don't care. And then we construct it and then we figure out the rest. So
yeah, I think Neil's gonna do something different
yeah,
with
it's
it.
large, I think. So
But does Neil ever actually finish his sweaters?
He's worse than me.
I mean, the only one he
finished
sort of
mine.
finished was his test knit, but that was only to the actual requirements of the test knit. He still
Yeah.
had to finish it to wear.
But then he got ignored anyway, so ouch.
Yeah.
this is for his magazine, so maybe he'll be a little more inspired to finish it.
I guess. I don't know.
But since it's a recipe and not really a pattern, he might be like, "Oh, whatever, they'll figure it out."
Maybe you could go down in hook size, doing the squares on the sleeve to make the squares
Maybe.
smaller, or
Maybe.
you know, cut rounds out, or
And I don't mind if it balloons a little bit, but I don't know if people, other, because I kind of thought about ending it there and knitting the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But it would still
I-
make quite a balloon right there.
Mm,
Mm.
well, I mean, it's a drop shoulder, so they
Yeah.
all are going to be
Yeah.
balloony at the top anyway. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's just for testing purposes. So
yeah, I mean, you could definitely pick up and knit with a decreased sleeve if you wanted to.
yeah, because that's how I did the body. I didn't really decrease on the body, but because I'm fat.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
and that's the other thing I need people to test is the fat factor. Where does it fall on your boobs? With
Oh,
squares.
yeah, for sure.
Yes,
Because
because you
bigger
don't want
boobs are gonna go different than
you
my
don't want
boobs.
any nip slips there.
Well, you're responsible for your own undergarments and your pictures, but you must, some lines right there. Not so
Yeah, I don't-
flattering. You don't
Right.
want a line right there. you know?
Wow. And unlike other test people requesting a test net, you're not forcing people to like finish it in 2 weeks and forcing them to post online with
No.
professional grade pictures.
No. But I don't want to see your nipples, so that's on you.
No, nobody does.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
want your pictures in block, take nice pictures. Because I, by all means, do not need to be in the one modeling it in block. So if you take nice pictures, and you give me permission, I will give those to Neil. But we still don't need nips in blocks. So
Yeah, because I don't think Neil wants
that's
them
a different
anymore.
kind of magazine, and that's not what we're
He,
talking
he gets enough grief as it is for other things. I don't think he wants it for that.
about. I know.
Oh, God. Love when my children decide to talk to each other through a group chat, not realizing I'm in the group chat and it's about Mother's Day.
Oops.
Just mute it and see what happens.
I mean, it's not a big deal. It's what I asked, what I suggested they could do for Mother's
I bought
Day.
my own present, so.
I usually do, but my daughter asked what they wanted to do, and I said, well, maybe your brother can just cook dinner. You and your brother could make dinner for me, at his place, and then I don't have to clean up or anything.
Right.
And so she just texted him, and I'm like, group chat. She said.
Hi.
Just
Hi.
wait until they decide and then remove yourself from the chat and wait until I get the notification.
No, I just told her it was a group chat. It's like now I have to be careful when I order things on Amazon for their birthdays or
know.
whatever. I have to archive the
Mhm.
order so they can't
Right,
see it.
right. Yeah.
And you can't do that on your phone. You have to do it on a computer or a tablet, and it's like a pain because a couple of the anime things I got my daughter from
Oh, yeah.
Amazon the other day for her birthday, and I go, crap, now I have to go archive it because if she goes on there, she'll see it because we all share one account because
Yeah.
can't afford to.
I think you
them
can
to
set
have
up a
that.
user though. You can make a
You
family
can. You
account
can.
and not because I don't see everything. I can go in and I think I can go in and see what he buys if I go look for it, but it doesn't give me a notification or nothing. My son.
No, it's okay because occasionally my son will order something and forget that he didn't change the address to his address,
Right,
and if I
right.
catch it beforehand, that helps. But
Yeah, my son's forgotten and he's accidentally used my points. I'm like, bruh, that's my points. I spend all the money in Amazon. I get the free points. Because if you don't know, Amazon has a credit card. You get points for every purchase.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you should pay it off in full every month. Go that route.
yeah, because I know my son had to get a garment bag because he's flying to Kentucky this weekend for his friend's law school graduation. He and his roommate are going. Their friend, he asked him when he started law school, would they come to his graduation? And so
That's cool.
they're flying out and staying in some fancy hotel because the parents have money and they're paying for all the lodging while they're out there.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
But they're going to a fancy dinner that he has to wear a suit to, so he had to buy a garment bag. I'm like, make sure the garment bag goes to your house and not mine. 'Cause then that means you got to take a trip to my house to get it because I'm not taking it to you. So
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, but it's sweet. He's like, and that's why graduation wasn't last weekend. I'm sure because of the Derby.
Derby. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I
But you're
told
not
him-
going to get a hotel. No.
I said,
Yeah.
sweetie, every college in Kentucky knows not to have their graduation
Yeah.
on Derby weekend. Come on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he's excited to go.
Can I talk about my make along?
Yes.
Yes.
Does Denise
very
know about?
excited.
Does Denise know about your make along?
I did text her and say, hey, I have this idea. Are you okay with this? And she said yes. And did you see her snarky little post on our Instagram?
Yes.
She posted the Golden Girls thing. It was like, this is the only reason I know what a lanai is. I'm like, look at her posting herself. And it's always me that posts. I was like, sometimes she's got a little smart ass in her.
But will you have an
No.
actual episode during the?
We are supposed to record next week for Mother's Day
Mhm.
because it's been like one thing after another. She's like, I'm like, let's do it this. And then there's been graduations and holy days. And she was sick for like 3 months. So that's most of why we didn't record for winter because she was sick
And
for like
she's
a long
out
time.
at the thrift stores.
I know. And so like, and Mark keeps taking her places on like to get her out the house. I'm like, could you get her out the house Monday through Friday, please? Because y'all are retired and you can go whenever the hell you want to. But I only have Sundays. I'm like, could you please coordinate this retired stuff?
People who are retired like that, who have all their activities and stuff, they just live in a different time zone.
I know. But he's just trying to get her to go do things, which is cool. That's the whole point of retirement is to go do
Yep.
things. So, but we can't seem to coordinate. So, but it will be, if you haven't seen it, it's on Instagram. And it's Summer on the Lanai. So it will run June 1st through September 1st. And rule number 1 is you may not start until June 1st.
I like that rule.
This is the only hard ass rule I have. You
Not
may not start.
11:59.
Nope. June 1st, midnight, your time zone, okay? So that's my hard and fast rule. So the point of it is, A, Golden Girls are awesome. And B, I realized we hadn't done a make along in a really long time. I'm like, man, we haven't slacking. We haven't recorded. We haven't done a make along. We haven't given away anything. I'm like, I'm falling off here. So because I am a benevolent dictator, you may double dip in all kinds of other make alongs. So the theme is Golden Girls Summer on the Lanai. So my only caveat against that theme is obviously if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, your summer is not the same as my summer. So if your summer looks like ice and wintry things, well, okay, that's your summer, So I, totally flexible on that part. For everybody else in the Northern Hemisphere, needs to look like summer. So you need to do stuff that's based on Golden Girls or summery colors or 80s colors or themes and extra points for Golden Girls specific items. Like I have a handy dandy Golden Girls bag and a handy dandy Golden Girls yarn from Molly Klein Design I will use for one of my things.
Nice.
And lovely Tina will be dyeing up some specific yarns.
I'm so excited. I know
Extra
exactly what
points
you're
for that. So extra
I'm
points
excited.
if you're really, really, really on theme. Like if you just do like a summer beach thing, yeah, you're on theme. But if you're extra on theme, you get extra points. And I will not tell you how I divvy up those points. That's my make along, and that's how I roll. So here's some examples of what would be considered, in my opinion, acceptable.
And
in
her
said
opinion's the
make-along.
only one that counts. So
That's true. Denise will be tiebreaker if there's any issues and we can't decide. So you can double dip. So this has orange in it, and it would work for Neil's make along.
Hey, that's one of mine.
That is one of yours. I can't. How do you say it again? I can't say it.
it's a yarn that cannot be named because none of us can
Dinware
pronounce it.
Dur.
Say it again.
Dinware Dur.
So pretty when she
Yeah,
says
whatever.
it. When I say it's like
Not orange yarn.
So this is orangey, peachy, think of the Golden Girls living room, very pastel-y 80s colors. This is also orange and sunsetty colors.
Some
They
of
had some
Blanche's
good
outfits.
ones.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Some of Blanche's outfits.
Yeah, some of
Yes.
her
Her
outfits are
especially.
man, you could just totally do something off the colors of her outfits alone. But then like this lovely one from Tina, which I really been wanting to cake up and start, is totally not related to any of that. It's Toodle, like the little train art guy. But look at the pastel-y, wickery, palm leafy, beachy,
Ma'am, I would classify that as a spring yarn, actually. If I'm
It
being
is a spring
perfectly
yarn, but
honest.
if you think about their living room and Blanche's bedroom with the palm leaves
That's
and the
true.
wicker
That's true.
everywhere,
All right, I'll allow it.
then there's the classic 80s bright
It's
colors.
an 80s color. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
know.
so
It's not just an 80s color. It's an every year
It is.
color.
It is in every, but bright colors
The
then
orange
Lynn-
does count because Mom and
Lynn
Evan
has
wants to
this
know.
lovely Let Them Live mini set, which is awfully 80s and awfully shoulder pad,
Very Miami.
you know, pantsuit esque, you know, Dorothy colorways here,
Mhm.
you know. I think about Rose and her ridiculous sweaters with the ducks and the geese and the stuff on them. So expand your brain a little bit.
You also said orange for the because Mom and Evan it says does make orange great again count because orange is an 80s color, and you had said that, yes, because it's like a
Oh,
sunset
yeah.
color.
Yeah, orange counts to me because of summer sunsets. That's, you know,
Well,
if you think,
yeah. And she
I
had so
mean-
much peach in that.
yeah, the peach alone is just, you know, golly, peach and green and
Peach,
pink
yeah.
and, you know, I mean, and then if you want to read the book with us, we're going to read Murder by Cheesecake.
Okay.
If you want, it's on Amazon, no pressure whatsoever. You don't have, I mean, yeah, all summer, you know. So if you would like to read it, we will have a little book club later in the summer if you're so inclined. So much like our lovely Tabitha of when she does her Summer of Murder or Winter of Murder, it's extra points if you take your knitting and take a picture on your lanai or your fake lanai or eating cheesecake or watching Golden Girls or watching one of our podcasts.
Break into somebody's backyard and go on their lanai.
Exactly.
Eat their
There was a
cheesecake.
break-in. There was a break-in on Golden Girls. That counts.
That would totally be a Blanche move,
right. So
especially if he was a good-looking man.
use your imagination. And if you've not ever watched Golden Girls, well, for to shame for you. It is on Hulu and Hallmark and multiple other things. And you should watch Golden Girls from start to finish and follow all the hundreds of plot holes that are in the show, but it's still fabulous.
Hello, Cabot Covenants.
So
It's like you summoned her,
I
Amy.
summoned her. So if Tabitha does her Summer of Murder, which I think she's doing, and I don't want to speak for her, but I thought she was, you could double dip in that. You can, you know, let's be creative. Let's watch Murder, She Wrote and find Golden Girls cast members on the episode. Extra points. Use your noggin.
Well, you got to admit, in the 80s, almost every actor was on every show at some point.
Right,
except the guest
right.
star. It all
So-
started in the 70s with Love Boat,
I
so
was going to say they're all on the Love Boat.
and
Exactly.
Fantasy Island.
There will be
Yeah.
some kick-ass prizes. So get your 80s summer Golden Girls cheesecakey thinking on.
Tabitha will send a prize to anyone who breaks into a yard for a photo and gets caught.
It gets caught.
You're going to send it to the jail?
We
What?
gotta get caught. How about we don't get caught and get extra points for that? So
That's
get
funny.
yourself situated. Tina will have her yarn soon. If any other makers want to share their on theme yarns and sub bags and whatever, I'm here for it. I'm not asking. I asked Tina because she's my bestie and I made her do it. But if anybody else
Nothing.
would like to offer up anything, by all means. But I'm not going to pressure people. So, but if people have stuff in their shops or whatever, please tag me and I'll share it. So people can see.
She says double points if they hold up your knitting.
I mean, we don't call it a lanai out here. We call it a patio. So I don't really know what's the difference.
Yeah, I grew up,
So,
it was the patio. Lanai's kind of like the fancy Florida name for it.
yeah. I mean, I like saying the lanai because, that's just fun. But
Selfie with the popo.
that should count like extra points in Tabitha's make along. Hell, Neil's make along.
You win every make along if you get the
Trump
cups
is
to hold up
ultimate
your knitting.
criminal. Right. So
Extra points for Niels if you get caught in somebody's yard who has a cherry tree and you're picking the cherries. Mama Nevin wants info for her listeners.
oh, it's all. I made an Instagram today, so it has all the rules in our two sisters Instagram. I made an updated rules post. So
And you cannot start early.
Follow
really
the
not-
rules.
really
No
not that many
overachievers.
rules, but
No.
I'm pretty flexible on the colors and the inspiration because, I mean, golly, if you can't find something from Golden Girls in 80s in summer, well, you need to practice creativity.
That is correct.
So my hard and fast rule is do not start before June 1st. And I will watch and pay attention.
And there are other knit-alongs going on. The Knit
Yes.
for Babies is going along everywhere.
April showers, Mayflowers from
Flowers.
Lindsay Knitters.
And
And I do
Right.
always need baby blankets. So extra
Yeah.
points.
well, and I guess if you throw stripes in, that might count too, because I don't know if our stripe thing's going to be ended by then. Because
knows?
Joe and Morgan aren't here, so yeah.
Speaking of stripes,
Ooh, that's
Oh.
pretty.
No, very 80s. Very summery 80s. See?
What
Mm.
colors are those?
one is at what was the name of the art yarn I did from like February or March? It was
Oh.
at Day's End or something, I think it was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah.
teal one. And then
Okay.
the pink one is a flub that I just over dyed, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
They're pretty together because they're unexpected.
Yeah, I love that combination
Yeah.
of like hot pink and teal
Yeah.
and yellow. And
See this blue I was gonna do. You have that pink one. I forget what the name of the pink one is. The hot
I
pink
don't really
one.
care, Margaret.
I don't
Yeah,
really care,
Margaret.
Margaret.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I thought I had bought it, but maybe I didn't. But I
You
thought
did buy
that-
it.
Yeah, it's somewhere there in the giant podcast bag that's not been opened for 4 months. But I thought the blue and the pink like that would be kicking, like as, like,
Yeah.
a sweater or something. So that was my original idea for my Granny Square, was to do the blue and the pink. But then I was like, ooh, this is a test. I'm not going to use handout yarn for a test.
No, but now once you get it the way you want it, then you
No,
can reuse
yeah,
it.
then we go back.
Yeah. I guess Shark Week will be included as a double dip too if it counts
Yep.
for both.
Yep.
So
Well, hello, sharks are summer, so
that is true.
beach, you know.
That is true. I saw a guy who got killed not too long ago, which is sad, except he told his friends and family he wanted to swim with the sharks. And
Boy, did he, huh?
they weren't interested in just swimming. I'm sorry when you go in a group of bull sharks and,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not trained, stay away from dangerous
Yeah.
wildlife.
Yeah,
And
please
don't say
swim
they're
with sharks.
shark-infested waters because it's the shark's home. We're the infestation,
Yeah.
not the sharks.
You get negative points if you go actually terrorize sharks. So for sure,
Don't do that.
Leave those sharks alone.
please leave the sharks alone.
Okay. Yeah, no stock camp this summer, I guess.
Nope.
Yeah, but look, there's plenty of other make-alongs to participate in. If you don't,
Yeah.
you're participating with us horrible wrong thinkers. So
And I'm sure there's other people doing sock things over the summer. So
yeah, I think Denise said somebody named Mama Jess. I don't know who that is. I don't follow her. I
I
think
don't know.
is doing something, and then somebody else was doing something else socks to try to like make up for it. I never did summer sock cap because okay, like I'm gonna whip out socks in summertime.
yeah, I haven't knit socks in a while, so I don't do that one. And
Yeah.
the new block came out though. That came out last
Yes.
week, and it's really nice.
It is a good one. Very good one.
And Tabitha's on the cover. I know that's a shock, but
Again?
she
Yeah,
is the main cover girl for Blocked Magazine currently.
her photographer's pretty good. So
Yep.
Yeah, and her settings are very good too.
yeah, she does have that nature picturesque settings.
Yeah,
I'm
mine
like,
here is just desert.
Here's some roads and water that's brown. Like
Here's some beige and some dirt. And
oh man, our minister showed the pictures of the house this week because they leave like in like 3 weeks.
oh, that's right, the ones in Arizona.
He sent the picture of the backyard, and we were all like, because it's all just rocks, and we were like,
Mhm.
that is depressing.
Well,
Like,
it's too expensive. It's too expensive to have regular landscaping because water.
he said
Water.
the homeowners association requires like 2 trees in the front, which is really stupid. So they planted these 2 trees, and the trees that they planted are supposed to get like 35 feet tall and like however many way feet wide, and they planted them 3 feet apart. And he's
Oh,
like,
God.
my.
that was pretty dumb.
Yeah,
And so in the backyard, there's like a drip system that comes on 20 minutes a day, and that's where they can plant the couple of things
Mhm.
that will maybe grow.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
mean,
just like,
here they were
man.
paying years ago. They were paying people to get rid of their landscaping because of the water
Right,
issue. So we have everywhere has desert landscaping. There's very few places with grass.
right.
And that's generally in older neighborhoods. Like, and parks. And some of the parks don't even have grass. It's pretty sad.
Wow.
We're just,
So that's
you know,
just wild to me. So
it's dirt and concrete and
Our place
not
in
enough trees.
our place in El Paso had AstroTurf. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the
What do
kind of
your
big
dogs do? Where do they go to the bathroom?
They had
the neighbors.
a run.
No, like if you have a dog and your backyard is just rock, where do they go to the bathroom?
You take them for a walk.
Mhm.
But there's no grass. You said.
There's not.
Dogs don't have
They
to
go-
go on grass, Amy.
They don't
What-
have
what?
to go on grass. They'll go wherever they can go, sadly. When we
Manhattan
had a dog,
walk for 3.5 years. You think we got fucking grass in Manhattan?
That's true.
Yeah. they go where they go. Yeah, I mean,
Man,
yeah,
I'm just picturing my cats because my cats go outside. I don't have a litter box. They go outside, so I'm just picturing them trying to go outside.
there's a lot more places doing the AstroTurf here, but it's expensive.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, when we had a dog, we had grass at that house because it was in a very old neighborhood. But now you just take your dog for a walk and you clean up after him. Basically.
Yeah, but like at least in like Manhattan, aren't there little like sections of grass like by the trees and like little spots or no?
Not in Greenwich Village.
Not in a lot of places in New York anymore.
I'm so spoiled with my grass. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness.
That's why my son's so excited he's going to Kentucky because he can see grass and
Oh
greenery.
man, he's gonna see so much greenery. Yeah, trees and
I'm just waiting to get the phone call for him to tell me how his hair is all curly now because of the humidity. Because he does have curly, wavy curly
yeah, he
hair.
needs to bring some product. You know, if he
He
doesn't
does.
have
I
product.
told him. I told him. So he's
Yeah.
on his own. He's an adult. I've got it covered, Mom.
That's like I've been cracking up those two British guys that I'm sure y'all have seen on social media
Yeah.
that like love America, and so now they finally made it down here. And I posted the one about Neil. I was like, this is so how I picture Neil, except he's not the
some
guy
British
actually
beef.
trying. He's not the guy gonna go get the alligator. He's the guy staying in the back being like, whoa, why are we trying to call the alligators over here?
Yeah. Don't call the alligators over.
And like these poor dudes, like bless their heart, they were like in Texas, and so they posted that they made it to Louisiana. And they're like, we drove for like 8 hours and we were still in Texas.
Mhm.
And then they end up in like Shreveport, and they go to this like horrible hotel, like $200 for 2 nights. Oh, but it was like it was disgusting. The video they posted was awful, and I'm like, well, dude, y'all went to Shreveport. I mean, like, what did you expect? That's like the worst city in Louisiana. No offense to people who live in Shreveport, but you know it's true. So, and then that's still not. That's like South Arkansas, so it's not the same thing. So then some other dude who owns a fancy hotel in Lake Charles, which Lake Charles is also not nice, but it's a little bit nicer, but it's more down south. So they must have come. I don't know where they came up from Texas, no, but they came to the top of Louisiana, and Lake
Okay.
Charles down at the bottom. So Lake Charles is closer to the whole Cajun-y thing, and so this guy has some kind of casino hotel or whatever, and it is a nice hotel. So he told him, hey, you can stay here for whatever. So that's where they're at, looking at the alligators, and they're like on the golf course, and there's signs
Right.
everywhere, as they all are around all of our golf courses here, that say there's alligators and snakes in there. You don't need your ball, just let it go. You're not going to go get your ball. You
You can
know.
buy new ones.
And you should bring enough balls while you're going on one of those golf courses. So I'm like, if these mofo's do not come all the way to New Orleans and get proper Louisiana,
Exactly.
but they did try crawfish. That was hilarious. I was like, this is how I picture Neil when he comes.
Oh yeah, I know. He'll have questions, but he'll be very picky where he
How do I
goes.
eat it with a
and
knife and fork?
What
You
is
gotta
this?
suck the head? What?
What is this spice stuff you people use now?
I know. One of the guys was he didn't handle it as well. He was like, oh my god, my eyes are. He was like dying. I was like,
Where's the toast
Spice.
for my beans?
yeah.
Before we go any further, you guys should talk about what you've been knitting, since we haven't done that.
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah,
knitting
it is
too.
called Knit Night. Yeah.
So I've not
Uh,
been knitting, so other than
You've
a
not
couple
been knitting,
rows
I
here
know.
and there.
I am on a mission to actually, because me and my friends are all starting all these make-alongs, that I need to finish some of the whips,
Yeah,
and that stalled me out for a while. So I should really be weaving in on all these ends, but But I was like, I have made myself promise that I will not cast on another project until I finish whips. So I finished the baby blanket this weekend. So technically I could have started one.
But
But
you're
it
being
didn't.
good.
I'm being good. And I'm trying to finish this murder knit shawl.
Oh, that's pretty. What yarn is that?
That is, what yarn is this? This was part of the inventory of the yarn stash in my Golden Girls bag.
Lovely.
Um,
When in doubt, cast on a murder knit shawl.
exactly. One of them was Knit Crate. Remember Knit Crate? Did any of
Uh-huh.
y'all do Knit Crate? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know, Vita Lana
Hmm.
is the one with Sparkle.
Ooh, pretty.
And then I don't remember what this one is. I don't know if this was a Tina yarn or a Chicken Lady yarn or a. No. This might be an Arcane. Because he had a
Keep it
gray.
to the side.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that's your yarn, Tina.
No, I don't think it's a Tina yarn.
I don't think so.
I don't.
I
Yeah.
think it's Arcane.
It's
I don't-
got
what's
too
that
many bare spots.
Oh, the tag's right here. It's Destination yarn. That's what it is.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Destination yarn. Because I think all their yarns are like.
What
so this was
colorway
the-
is that?
This
Does it
is
say?
Glencoe.
I think I have some of that.
So they do all like they do theirs. I don't know if they're still dying or not, but they
They
did
are.
like places and the
Mhm.
places were the color.
Yeah,
So.
she still is. She just
Is
announced
this
her
Ireland?
admin.
Is it Ireland, Glencoe,
I think it's Scotland.
Scotland?
It might be
Oh.
Ireland. I don't know.
Well, if
I
it's a
don't know.
Glen, I think it is Scotland. Yeah.
I think it's Scotland.
Yeah.
I think she just put out her advent her advent listing a
Oh,
couple weeks ago.
This is like deep stash. very-
Advents, which they start
very
advertising on
stash.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
So that is what I'm trying to do is finish things, and then I have like some blankets. I have the yarn eater one I was doing last time, but I ran out of the green. I'm like, do I have to go buy green?
Need all
just
your
to
yarn.
fix it? I looked
What
at
happened?
all my yarn. I do not have the same color green. I'm like, son of a.
Mm.
What are you gonna do? You have to get different yarn.
Because it's a Hobby Lobby, and I went like alternating the rounds.
Right.
So now I can't keep going with the other colors without messing up the pattern. I'm like, son of
No, you just bring in a new color and pretend like you intended to do it that way.
Yeah.
Design choice.
a-
What are you doing, Therese?
What am I doing? Well, I have what would you call it? AFO, almost finished object.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
I like
Never heard that one before.
that.
This is in the IKEA stage of a sweater. It's all done. You just got to put it together.
Uh,
Hey, when that happens.
So I pocket,
Oh.
Crochet or knit?
crochet. I
Crochet.
think.
and I have sleeves.
Oh, is that
Nice.
your terrible white?
Yeah, like cheap white.
Yeah, I thought you and
Cheap
Neil were gonna
white.
come to blows.
I was like, Neil, what the hell?
Like cheap. It's cheap. And it was cheap because this was from the benevolent big sister. She was doing a de-stash. And
That's
I
called-
snagged a bunch of it.
That's called frugal and upcycling. So
Right.
to Neil.
That's right.
Yeah.
Neil.
Evidently, Glencoe is in Scotland, so we were right, Tina.
There you go. Thank you.
And then here's the actual body of it.
Nice.
I just got to seam it all together.
Are you
Oh,
gonna do a collar or
No.
a band or anything, or just leave it?
You do a edge around it,
What
which
pattern is
no
that?
big deal. I think it's like a single crochet edge or something. Maybe slip stitch. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So it's just in the put it together stage. So that's what I'm doing.
What's the name of the pattern?
It's the Briar Pocket Cardigan.
Oh,
I've done this is like the fourth one now.
oh really?
Nice.
Because it's quick and easy.
Okay. What are you making besides socks, Miss Tina?
Well, I've got.
Well, if people would stop telling her to dye yarn for them.
Yeah, and people, she means me.
And she means me.
I've got a sweater that I haven't worked on in months at this point. and I feel bad about it. But my Garfield sweater.
I was about to say,
I
the
love your
Garfield sweater.
Garfield sweater. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
I have swatches I'm knitting of yarn that's come out that I haven't swatched yet. And I have, okay, so this is a special hat because if I could detach it from all these goddamn knitting needles, you would not believe what Groucho knocked my box off the other day. And so I had to scramble to put everything back together. And I was like, well, I'm not knitting anything from there, so I'm not gonna fuss with it. And now I'm like, oh, you should have fussed with it. So these two yarns are they were kind of like a color study. So the guy I went to high school with, I had the biggest crush on him in high school. He looked like a Viking. He had like waist length hair, and his name was James, and he was so hot. But he was a senior when I was a freshman, so that we stayed friends, but it's not like we saw each other, hung out, or anything. Anyway, at some point over the last year, we've reconnected. Amy knows about him.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just knitting.
I've told Amy all about him, but unfortunately, it seems he's extremely liberal. So we don't talk politics much, which whatever. But I still adore the guy. I still think he's really interesting. He used to be a brewer, so he knows how to make his own beer. He grows his own hops and everything.
Cool.
He's also like willing to do any kind of art project, whether it's like he dyed a vest, like a denim. No, I think it was a jacket. He dyed a jacket like some weird acid green color a while back, and he was showing me all these patches he's sewing on. And but recently, he had a flannel shirt. It was from Pendleton, the place that makes really nice woolen stuff. And it was a really nice flannel shirt, and he loved that shirt. But unfortunately, his dog chewed it up. And he was freaking out because it was the last gift his father gave him before his dad died. So he was like inconsolable. He went on eBay, he went on Etsy, he went everywhere he could looking for the shirt in that exact color because they don't make it anymore in that color. So he was like, what if I get a plain black and white plaid and then just dye it myself? And I was like, yeah, you could totally do that. But the thing is that upon looking at the picture of the shirt close up, around the black, there were little red threads woven in too, which kind of changed the color a bit. So it wasn't going to be just like you just dye it and then it's the same color. So I had to explain that to him. And then I went and I did a little color work where I was like, okay, well, this is what happens. I tried to recreate like the grayed out and the black flannel on the yarn, so I had like part of it black and then it would lighten towards the middle, and then I would put like the tobacco color over it because it was like a golden sort of color that he was going for. And so I made the two versions of the yarn, and I showed him, this is what happens if you add a little red around the black squares, if you can't find a shirt with the red threads in it. But it turns out he did find a shirt that was black and white with the red threads. It just didn't have the golden color in the middle. So he was able to just dye it in tobacco leaf. I told him the color to use and everything. And just today, actually, he sent me the picture. He was doing it. So it was coming out really good, and I'm really proud of him. So anyway, I'm making him a hat to match. It's a long version of that story. And okay, let's address the chat. First of all, Garfield sweater update. Yeah, I haven't worked on it in months. I will, I promise. And hello, Esteban. He's a former New Yorker. Now he lives down in Florida near Mikey.
Oh, I can't see chat, but hey.
He's freaking cool.
Yeah,
I don't know
Garfield.
what accent you're talking about.
That
Seriously.
Garfield, you're pretty far in that Garfield sweater.
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't you just need sleeves? Or do you need
well,
body
yeah.
still? Oh, you need a
I'm
little
still
body,
on
yeah.
the body.
Yeah.
And the bottom ribbing is going to be pink. I have to join in another skein and everything. It's not quite there yet. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do not mind miles of stockinette. I think that's like the best thing ever. If you're
Yeah, I don't mind
watching
it.
a show or something and you're just like endless knitting stockinette. So I don't mind it. I haven't been avoiding it. It's just, I will say, spoiler alert, I spent months knitting a project for Amy on and off that I just shipped out today for her birthday. So, which is tomorrow, by the way. But I just have crafting ADD, and I can't do one project at once. I can't be monogamous.
No.
It's so hard.
Mhm.
So
No. I can't either. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do one project at a time. I'm just trying to finish some of the whips so I can start more
Yeah.
projects.
finish
Yeah.
something.
Finish something.
Well, do you ever get like that finishitis feeling, like you're getting close to the end of something, and then you're like, "Oh no, it's going to be over. I can't do it anymore."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
what my problem is, and it makes no sense because it's like it feels so good once you finish something, and you're like, "It's off the needles. It's done. I accomplished something." But you have to actually do it. I can't
Right.
get.
Yeah,
can't get
that's been mine. I get past the sleeves, half the body, down towards the bottom of the ribbing. Like, oh yeah, I can't work on this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm almost
It's like
done.
2
Can't do
inches left, but no,
I
No,
think-
can't do it.
I need
I
a
think when
break.
there's color changes and stuff, that helps.
It does.
Like,
Mhm.
but if there's something like this, the gray of the stockinette of this bottom, I was like, okay, that's a lot of gray stockinette. I'm like,
Well, and to be
so-
fair, you don't knit sweaters, so
I
that
don't
was
knit a lot of
that was
sweaters.
a lot for you.
so-
It's fine.
And with acrylic too, I was like, this would be so much nicer for me if this was not acrylic. But so that Garfield yarn, I could see doing like a, like something with difference in it besides just the one color. That wouldn't bother me as much. But
Yeah.
that's why I like stripy socks, because it's like, what's the next color? Oh, what's the next color?
Mhm.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
it gonna look like at the heel?
I just hate all
Aw.
the freaking ends.
Tina, you're getting a
Yeah.
thank you for the shout out.
Oh,
Oh, good for you for getting out of New York.
I know, man.
some of us are still working on it.
I know.
One day.
Okay,
Oh,
but
no.
speaking of which, okay. So, never mind the fact that he could be my future husband. So, there's this guy I've been talking to, and he lives out in Colorado. He is extremely okay. He's like one of those guys that has autistic superpowers. So, he's really good with computers and websites and stuff, and like building websites specifically. And I was talking to him yesterday, and what serendipity that all that shit happened today, because just yesterday I sent him Ravelry and I'm like, listen, for years now, we have wanted a viable competitor to this website with forums, with nice graphics, something professional, something that people are going to want to look at and interact with and, hang out on. I was like, how complicated would it be to do something like this? And so he gives me some spiel about, oh, well, it's just blah, blah, JavaScript on a blah. I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck you just said. Really,
thanks for
all I
telling me.
need to, huh?
But thanks for trying to explain it to me.
It's like you literally just like you turned into the teacher from Charlie Brown, and it was just so. And then anyway, right after that, he started, because his tism, he just launched into whatever the fuck he launched into next. Like, oh, I'm listening to this music, and it's oh, that was funny actually. It was Alex Jones core metal. So it's like it's a metal band, but it's like just Alex Jones yelling stuff. Return the frog's gate. I don't like it. I was dying. But I was like, all right, but to circle, okay, can we circle back? Because I know you're going to get really
to the
distracted.
website. Yeah.
You're going to be talking about MiG-29s in 5 minutes if I don't like circle back to this website idea. I was like, do you think it would be feasible to build this like efficiently and quickly and like not too expensive? Because, he made it sound really simple. And he's like, all right, I'll take a look. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I'm going to press it with him further tonight. But I was wondering, so because it's us, the Illuminati, the Semper Fiber crowd, the outcasts, the bad people on public square who get blocked after you buy stuff from people. Like, what? Oh, can we just for a second, Liz? You bought this woman's product and then she blocked you, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's okay for her to take your money and then block you. But
Yeah,
it's
I'm not the only one either.
Yeah, I was seeing that, but it's not okay for anybody else to get money based on their politics
Right,
if they're on public square.
right.
Rules
And it
for
was
me-
almost exactly a year ago, because when I went back looking through my direct messages on Instagram, all I get is Instagram user not available,
Oh wow.
and the message is deleted. But I know that because that was the only person I talked to at that time, other than somebody who I'm, following or whatever. But yeah, I don't understand how people have the energy and the time to spend all their time looking out for people to try to block and cancel. Like, couldn't you spend that time with your family? Couldn't you spend that time with, I don't know, knitting?
Right.
Yeah, you're working on your business. Don't you have a business
Right.
to work on?
Like Tabitha said today, she was like, "Look, I don't seek out people. I don't seek out who I purchase from because of their politics. I buy
Right.
what I like because I like it. If it so happens that they agree with me, cool.
Exactly.
But,
I don't get the public boycotting.
No, I mean,
I trust other adults to make their own decisions based on their own research. And the only time I public boycott is if they're lying about what they're advertising or there's safety issues.
well, yeah.
Then I
but-
might come public
and
about it. If I
I'm
choose not to
totally-
support somebody,
I'm
that's
totally down with
my choice.
cultivating your tribe, and I'm totally down with not putting things in your world that stress you out. I get it. I get it. There's a lot of nasty out there, and I personally, I don't want to spend my whole time looking at social media feed of people that, for instance, think abortion is fantastic and wonderful and the most amazing thing. That's not going to sit well in my heart. I get that. Okay, it's okay to cultivate your space. However, I think I think it's a whole thing now. This is my theory. This is what I'm gonna go with. Because we do it too. We purchase from friends because they're our friends, and that's
Well, yeah.
and that's okay. But friendships should be friendships, not monetary friendships, and not transaction based. That's like the whole MLM model. The whole MLM model is
Right.
based on transactional relationships. And you get your friends to sign up under you, but you need them to sell, and then you make money if they make money, and yada yada yada. So I think social media created this whole monster on both sides. On both sides.
Oh
Totally.
yeah, it's universal.
That it's become this thing of like, you think that the person, and I don't want to, I know we talked about this last time, and I don't want to say this like people be like, well, bitch, I thought you were my friend. Okay, if I talk to you on a regular basis, we are friends. Okay, even if that's only in Telegram or whatever, Instagram or whatever. But it used to be, you went to the store, you saw something cool, and you purchased it. Well, now that everything's online, and everybody's got, if you've got an online store, you've got a Facebook, you've got an Instagram, you've got a TikTok, you've got a whatever, and you have to be this whole thing.
You have to put all your political views and your personal views out there to be
You
judged.
can't just be in their world. You can't just be a yarn dyer. You have to stand up and you have to make this statement.
Everything is political. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything is
She
your
even
identity.
said that in
now.
one of her posts. It was the post before the list of shops not to buy from, where she was like, "Can't we agree to disagree?" No, we can't. It's
Right.
like, that's a mental illness. I'm
Right.
sorry. You are deranged. You are obsessed. You have a disorder. You should
It
go
used to
see
be
therapy.
you could just go on Etsy.
Oh,
and,
I'm sorry, Adam.
there's some yarn I like. What? What's wrong with
He's heard a lot of bad anti-Jewish stuff recently. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
personally?
People
That
are
sucks.
assholes.
They are.
It's all over Twitter.
Yeah,
It's
that
so-
lady in Minnesota's made like $500,000 on Give Send
Right.
Go. So I
Right.
don't sympathize with her.
So
too
I
much.
totally get putting your money in places that support your values or whatever, but I don't get the whole, they must support my values in order for me to make a
Well,
purchase.
and here's the thing.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Here's another thing that just kind of occurred to me. They're basing their opinions of us or dyers or whatever based on lies, because they're saying, I don't want to buy yarn from somebody who wants me dead. I don't
Right.
want to buy
Right. I
yarn
don't
from
want
somebody
anybody
that
dead.
wants to wipe out my friend's existence.
Right.
That's all
Nobody
based
wants to
on
wait. I
lies.
mean, regardless on what is
If
on
you
the
voted for
legal
Trump, like,
whatever is on
bitch,
your
I
legal
didn't even
paper,
vote.
you still exist. Okay, you still
Like, look,
exist.
Look,
Yeah.
I don't vote, people. So get mad at that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't get the whole hating entire groups of people with false information behind your
Right.
beliefs to begin with, and to the vitriol and I don't support people who take away the human rights of the people I love. I'm sorry,
Right.
whose human rights are gone?
Why?
What human rights are gone? I don't
Right.
understand which exactly human rights have actually gone.
There's not, and that's what I'm
I'm-
saying. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my handmade costume from Carrie because I was supposedly handmade, and so I'm waiting for my costume, and it
Yeah,
hasn't showed up
yeah.
yet. So, but
Back in the Minion days.
but and like okay, like because let's bring this back to historical perspective here. At one point in our history of humans, there was a time when it really was dangerous to someone's life if you sold a loaf of bread to somebody because they had a yellow star on their shirt.
Exactly.
That would be an example of
Hmm.
risking life.
Right.
Yeah.
Not because
Not
somebody voted
perceived.
different than you or they
Yeah.
won't say your pronouns. That is not the same thing as
Right.
risking
Well, it's
someone's life.
because
in danger.
we're in a point in the world. I mean, the economy's been a mess, but other than for the most part, people have been the safest they've
Yes.
ever been, unless you're in
Yes.
a war. I mean, I'm not talking about people in active war zone, but the rest of the world, most people have grown up in this newest generation, and a lot of them, the safest they've ever been, because we have,
Right.
especially in America, because none of the wars have actually been in America.
Yeah, but even still, over the history of humanity,
Right.
the amount of wars that have occurred all
So-
across the entire world compared to what in the last 50 years here and in
But
our
since
world.
they're not
is-
living in actual
Yeah.
danger like that,
Right. Right.
they have time to, worry about the other things and make them worse than they are.
Everything is
Yeah.
a catastrophe. Everything is the worst case
Right.
scenario. Everything is
Yes.
people are getting deported. I'm going to lose my marriage. They're going to break up our
Right.
marriage. They're going to freaking do this,
Right.
that, and the other thing.
Little.
You're
Yeah.
talking about camps and stuff. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell are you people talking about? Where is this coming from? I will
Where are
never
the camps?
forget.
Yeah.
And I might have mentioned this previously. The night my roommate came into the kitchen and he was like, everybody's losing their birthright. He's getting rid of the 14th Amendment. Where's he gonna put me? I was born here. I'm like, dude,
Nowhere.
that's literally not what's happening. That's literally you misunderstand everything because you're too. First of all, he watches MSNBC all the fucking time, so
Oh,
of
well,
course
he's one of the 12 people that watch MSNBC.
yes, he is. And second of all, you're too stupid to understand what they're telling you. And so, like, dude, I'm sorry. Maybe the news isn't for you. Maybe you should just watch
Well,
boxing or something.
I think we've let go so many ridiculousness, and big pharma and medical and government have gone on the rabbit hole instead of saying, you know what, this is utterly ridiculous. You can't change your gender. Come on. You can live
Right.
your life as you perceive that other sex to be, but you can't actually become that. But instead of calling that out, and like I watched Blair White the other night talking about some of these transgender people from Britain who are all flipping out because of their Supreme Court saying that women are women. And just like, you've got to get a grip on your life. She said people who are genuinely trans, who have quietly lived their lives, can't now because these idiot activist people who have made it so much harder on them to just live their lives.
Right.
People who just wanted to, live their life, go under the radar, not be made an example of. You can't do that anymore because people who want to be an activist or want to be part of something or hate their life so much they figure if they pretend to be something else, their life will be better. Instead of getting the help they actually need, mental health counseling, she was calling out them who are the doomsdayers.
Right.
No, the world is not ending. No, your civil rights aren't ending. No, they're not going to put you in a box and, take you to a camp.
Here's the crazy thing I just was thinking about, because the whole thing that happened, in case people don't know what the hell we're talking about, is there's a website called Public Square, which I've never used, but it's supposedly was created for like conservative.
That's what we were just talking
people.
about. That's
Yeah,
all of us on the list.
So what happened today or last night or whatever it was is this person, a Size Inclusive
Collective.
Okay. For whatever reason, she drummed that back up, the whole list of Public Square. So it kind of popped back up today. Neil's on it, don't worry. So, but my thing is, so let's get this straight. When was that? When was Public Square? Like 22? 23?
No, it was earlier than that. I think it was
Earlier than that?
2021, I want to say.
Okay, we'll say 2021. So this group, people wanted to sell on there and collect conservative people, whatever, or not. Maybe they weren't. So since then, these people have made these lists, and they're like, okay, well, if you're on public square, you're MAGA, and you're this, and you're hateful, and you're this and that, and nobody should buy from you, blah 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 blah. How would they feel? Not that he's going to do this, but I'm just saying, how would they feel if, comparatively, let's just say the Trump administration listed all the entities who hired, oh, I don't know, illegal people? You'd be really, really mad about that.
You're erasing human rights. You're endangering people.
They'd be really, 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 really upset if there was a list made of people who,
See, he's a Nazi. He's making lists of
bad.
people.
bad, they can't think outside of their little box to even turn the page and be like, wait a minute, what if this alternatively happened, the other way? What if there was a list somewhere of people who were super yay abortion, and then we all blasted it and said, don't ever buy from them because they kill babies? That would be abhorrent to them. They'd be like, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
But it's okay to make lists about us.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah, I don't understand
The
why.
secret is we don't really give a shit about lists. We're not making lists about people.
We don't have
We're
time
not
for
making
that.
lists.
We don't have time for that. Nor would we do it if we had the time.
Okay, Neil might be making lists, but the rest of us don't.
To be fair, a lot of them have come after him personally, so I
Right,
don't think he
so-
has to make lists. But
But
yeah, I
it's
just
still not, he still doesn't have a list to say, hey, here guys, this is, you don't
Yeah.
buy from these people. Like,
And I'll be like, okay, yeah.
and we've
just,
never
I trust
we
other
talk to him
adults
all the time, and we've
to
never
make
seen a
their
list
own
like that.
financial decisions.
Right.
We tend
So,
to do that,
Mhm.
right.
you know.
But the hypocrisy that they can't see that if the tables were turned,
Right.
that would be
But they're the
absolutely
good
appalling.
guys.
Well,
They're the good
Amy,
guys, though.
that would mean that they'd actually have critical thinking skills, and it's
Exactly.
clear
Well,
most of them don't, because they
Right.
hear a headline, they take the worst case scenario without actually
Right.
listening, following, and reading actually what it means.
Groucho
Yeah.
has more critical thinking skills.
Groucho's
Oh,
no
yes,
slouch.
he does. Unfortunately for me.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, are you talking about Jasmine Crockett, who said who's going to pick the crop?
Oh, a
Because
bunch of them
she
said
said
that.
black people don't pick crops. We need brown people to come do that.
Oh my
How racist is that?
God, it's so freaking racist.
But she can get away with saying it. It's like,
Well, I didn't know my great grandparents were brown people because we had cotton fields and we picked it ourselves.
my family picks tobacco, so it's just the cognitive dissonance and the lack of critical thinking is scary, because these people drive cars, they're out in the world, and some of them have children, so they're not educating their children.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think the fact that government and medical and everyone jumped in on a lot of these insanity instead of doing their jobs and saying,
Right.
hey, wait a minute, let's stop, and instead of jumping on the money bandwagon,
Mhm. That's what it is, money.
because with politicians they get power because they're pro in it,
right.
and big pharma gets money because they get patients for life. Like,
Mhm.
the fact that people on that side don't get that cracks me up. Like, you don't see what big pharma is using you for,
Yep.
and it's like, do some actual thinking before you make these choices or do these things. And if you want to live your life dressed however you want to pretend that you're whatever you want to say that
Okay,
you are,
go for
that's
it.
fine. Don't force me to acknowledge it.
Right.
A lot of people have been non-binary. In our day in the 80s, we called it androgynous.
Right.
So they're not the first to actually, come up with this. Some days they dress one way, some days they dress the other.
Right.
But, it's just like, there's a lot of people who need mental help and also wallow in that. They can't be held accountable. They can't make any decisions. They can't be forced to do anything because they have mental health issues. Newsflash, everyone has mental health issues.
Yeah.
Everyone has some kind of trauma.
We all out of spoons.
Exactly. But especially I watch these court cases, and every single one of them has ADHD or anxiety or a bipolar or depression. It's like,
Which
so
I
they
will
can't
say,
be held
I've
accountable
said
for,
before,
robbing
it goes
places.
back to teaching. Like, And I watched it come in of where you couldn't tell kids no. And I'm like, excuse me? I can't tell them no? And they're like, no, that's not positive reinforcement. I'm like, well, he just threw a chair, so he doesn't need positive reinforcement. He needs to be told no.
Exactly. Well, now the teachers are too busy, trying to sleep with the students and,
Well,
other
teachers
things.
are what that was 2008. It's long. The ship has sailed. Teachers
Well, I
have
know.
no back. They have no backup from admin. They have no
Oh,
the
I know.
parents. It's
But
not.
there's
It's
too
not just
many
teachers
of
being
them.
crazy. So
There's
it's
too many of them who think that they, can and are allowed to do whatever they want. And there's no parents have no say anymore.
right. But the vast majority of teachers are not the crazy
Well,
woke
I know that,
trainees
but
that you see on social
I
media.
know that, but the whole culture is becoming more permissive for these other teachers to get away with things, and that's
Right.
admirable.
Right, but it started with the whole we can't tell them no, we can't tell them about dress code, we can't do this, we can't do that, because it hurts their feelings. And it's like, well, he's being a badass. Tell him to stop.
Yeah, because it comes from parents who don't parent and don't feel it necessary to ever tell their child no. And participation trophies, which our generation did not do. Like, you didn't get a prize unless you won. Okay. So, but
I would like to propose that we block Adam from the chat because he's traumatizing me.
What's he
he?
saying? Adam.
How do you say it, Tina? Trauma?
Trauma.
It's got a U in it. Yeah, it's trauma.
She's from New York area. Give her a break. She speaks like everybody there. It'd be worse. She could be saying trauma, like a lot.
What? No, that's not
they
a
really
word.
have, but the heavy accent. So there's some
Trauma?
New Yorkers trauma.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Esteban's right. David Bowie and Freddie Mercury both loved to dress androgynous, but they knew who and what they were. They weren't confused. And he loves your accent, Amy or Tina.
I know he does. I'm just busting his balls.
Yeah,
Busting his lots of balls.
I'm just glad he wasn't here last week when I had 2 huge raccoon eyes. Because I'm sure he would have commented on that when I, had my
You should have
unfortunate.
just made that sandwich, Liz. Your husband had to tell you twice.
Oh no, yeah. People wondered, like when I would go to the store, all the store ladies that I talked to would look at me like, "Really, I fell." It's true, I did. But I told my husband I was going to change my name on here to "My Husband Doesn't Hit Me."
Yeah,
But I
some
didn't.
crazy wacko would probably actually call and be like, I think she's getting hit.
No. And speaking of who Neil likes to go after, Craftsnark, I'm agreeing with them on the big one.
What?
Because they're going after the woovles, the crochet.
Oh, the stupid amigurumi things?
Yeah, the tiny dung ball kit.
There's a dung
Crochet
ball?
a dung ball.
Like poop?
There's
Yeah.
a what? Are you shitting me?
It's
No.
just-
It's $5. They're charging $5.
How much?
You
$5
want me to
for the kit.
pay $5 to knit a ball of shit, a literal ball of shit?
I mean, you can Google how to make a circle amigurumi and just
I
put your
know,
little
but,
extra little
like-
corn pieces on it if you want it. But I mean,
Yeah,
if they want a proper poop amigurumi, there was one in Block Magazine. That one looks
That
way
is
better.
true.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I'm just like, I watch the news. I watch, videos. I watched Ayaan Hirsi today. She was lecturing at a college, I think in Austin, and they were talking about Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. And she was pointing out anti-Semitism has been around since people, since the Jewish people started. She said it's always been a thing where other, because he's like, well, slavery was like,
Jews and vice versa.
but she was pointing out how, slavery and all these things. She goes, yes, but this was ended. This was, all these different things where people were persecuted was ended, and we've acknowledged it and moved on. And yet there's always been anti-Semitism. And the West got to the point where they were not as anti-Semitic. It has come back, and we need to fight it like we fought communism.
mhm.
And he's like, well, the Bible says peace, and Jesus is all about peace. And he was quoting, I can't remember what passage, or the peacemaker one. And she's like, but sometimes you have to fight And if you're fighting ideas, you fight ideas with ideas. If you're fighting infiltration, you break up their infiltration. She's like, once you let people who want to kill you and want to end your race in, you have to stop them. And these college kids were just like, some of them were surprised. Like, it never occurred to them that, yeah, anti-Semitism has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And she was calling out
Since the
Islamophobia as
dawn
not
of
being
Jewish
real.
people.
And, you know, she was a politician in the Netherlands and they kicked her out. And she had gone through
Oh yeah.
I read her book. She's phenomenal, like super smart. And when she does these speeches, she doesn't get like, her tone of voice never changes. Like she never gets angry. She never gets loud. She just very calm, which I think also drives them a little crazy too. But the one kid, she's like, well, what if Islam were to come and they were to tell you either convert or you'll lose your head? Well, I guess I just convert them, but you know, I'm agnostic, so it really doesn't matter to me. She's like, he goes, but I guess people who actually have faith would have a problem with that.
Oh yeah, we would.
And she's like,
See you home, the
think?
gulag.
yeah. She's like, exactly, but why would you want to give in? She goes, you're weak. You would just give in. But it was really fascinating because some of these kids were actually listening to her, which was impressive.
That is impressive. Totally not exactly related. But did anybody else see the little news piece about the fact that Trump ended the Fauci lab where they were torturing
Yes.
the beagles?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I saw that.
nobody said a word.
Nope.
Where's PETA? Where's the animal activists?
Mhm.
Oh, PETA never cared about the animals. We
Saying,
said that a
thank you,
long time
Trump,
ago.
for stopping the torture of beagle puppies while they're alive. Nobody.
Yeah, no. Jesus was a Jew who wanted other Jews to be better Jews. But, you know.
I mean, it's like, okay, hey, this really great thing that most liberals would really be for, animals.
Because they claim to care about animals and have so much empathy and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
more than humans.
Yeah, but if Trump cured cancer, they complain about it. That he was putting on colleges out of work.
Genociding cancer.
You know, I mean, anything he does or anything right wing that's good, the fanatics are never gonna accept.
Okay, I'm not joking, by the way. When they were talking about getting rid of like curing autism and whatnot, people were actually posting that's literally genocide. You're
Yeah.
genociding autistic people.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine.
So curing it is
It's because well, it's the same thing that the fat activists use. If
So
a
if we
fat
cure
person loses
cancer,
weight,
is that
Huh?
genocide? If we cure breast cancer, is that genocide of women?
they haven't done it on cancer yet, but they have. When a fat person loses weight, you're literally genociding a fat person because then a fat person no longer exists there.
oh, no wonder they're all pissed at Lizzo for losing weight.
Yeah. They
Well,
because she
after him-
genocides-
after her being-
appreciates it.
After her being the model for fat positivity. I'm sorry, I know I'm fat.
funny how
It's
that
not helping.
happens.
But it just blows my mind. Okay, so then you're genociding autistic people, but maybe they would be grateful not to be autistic. I mean, it's not like if you're curing it, you're going to kill them.
Right. And that's what
Exactly.
people were like, well, and I get it because, again, the people did not read past the headline. They read the one
Mhm.
headline that twisted Bobby Kennedy's words and made it sound like, I mean, I actually saw people make comments of like, he needs to meet at least one mom of an autistic child. I'm like, where the frick have you been? That is all he's been doing for the last 20 years.
Oh, I know. And he's talking about the severely autistic and, he knows what he's talking about because it's something he's
Right.
been involved in.
Right.
And
That is all he's been doing for the last 20 years, pretty much, is trying to help your children. And I will say, because I'm fairly in touch with that part of the world, just from my years of education, and my own child has high functioning autism, that there are a lot of parents pushing back, and they're like, "Hi, it's me. My kid is 25 years old and has to get in a van and go to daycare, literally a day camp every single day that costs us X hundreds, thousands of dollars over her lifetime. Because they can't be alone and I have to go to work and they wear a diaper and they do this and they do this and then they explain everything that happens with their child. And it's like, hi, I would rather my kid not have this. And
Right,
it's
yeah.
okay for me to
It's
say
like-
that. I
it's like
I
when they
still love
came
my kid. You know?
Well, I remember when they came out with the cochlear implants, and a bunch of deaf people got mad when people would get them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that might be your choice, but
Right.
why would you? I don't
Which I
get
do
it.
slightly understand that because it actually ruins any residual hearing the person had. But, I get it. But the person with a cochlear implant can go live their life
Yes.
with or without it. It doesn't, they could
Yeah.
live their life. They don't need to be taken care of the rest of their life.
Right.
That's the big difference.
Well, yes, I agree with Kat says. The left does pretend autism is a cute personality trait. And there's
Yes.
a lot of people who claim to be autistic that I'm pretty sure are not.
Mhm.
Right.
But that's a
Oh,
title
doesn't.
there's a lot of self-diagnosed people on the
Mhm.
left.
There's a lot of overdiagnosis. I have some major concerns with how it is now currently diagnosed and how early it is diagnosed versus how it traditionally was in the past. So
Mhm.
I have some
Yeah.
major issues with how that's done now because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
extremely overdiagnosing it.
And now they're trying to say, well, we're noticing it more and we're diagnosing it more, and that's why you're seeing so many kids with it.
That's not true.
Uh-uh.
The testing is
Because-
still the same it's been for the last 20 years.
When I was growing up, we didn't have the kids who couldn't be in a room by themselves because they would rip down the walls and
Right.
have all these absolute meltdowns. We didn't have that,
Right.
not like they do now. So don't tell me it's just
Right.
a diagnosis thing.
No. Particularly considering we have flipping studies that say how many
Mhm.
students with autism, people with autism have leaky gut issues and other
Mhm.
genetic issues. And it is unless you've lived in this world for the last 20 something years, you don't know it, you don't see it. But the change has been very marked. And
Mhm.
if you taught at any level, it's I can't even begin to describe how different it is than what it should be. It just
I just don't.
I used to have one kid.
Yeah.
I would have one kid every year out of 20.
Right.
And when I left in 2015, half my class had a diagnosis. That's
Mhm.
not okay. That is
That's
not
insane.
the diagnosis instruments did not change that much in that time frame.
Right.
We used the same flipping damn instruments to diagnose them and test them that whole time. How did I suddenly go from one kid to 19 kids? That's not normal.
Well,
That's not right.
it was Teresa and our generation. We're a little older than you guys, and when they started putting everybody on ADD drugs, any
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
boy who had any kind of boisterous personality, up
Right.
ADD, better get him on meds.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh
And
no,
so-
you're being a boy. We better medicate that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think part of it's too because so many places got rid of recess, which
Mhm.
recess is important because it gives kids, especially kids who have all that extra energy, a chance to run it off,
Yep.
breathe, get out of the classroom so that they can come back and
Yep.
settle. And without that, I think it does a huge
Not
disservice.
to mention the entire early childhood time frame completely changed. I
Mhm.
mean, my degree is
Mhm.
supposed to go to age 8, which means 3rd grade.
Right.
So that means kindergarten through 3rd grade should not be sitting at a desk, be sitting in a computer. They shouldn't even have a flipping pen in their hand. Don't get me started on that. They shouldn't be forced in this little box and they freaking just push. And I'm like looking at my kids, I'm looking at other kids that are in 1st grade. I'm looking at my kids that are 17 and 19. I'm like, what the hell? My kids weren't doing that in 1st grade. They were doing that in 4th grade. I'm
Mhm.
like, this is not their brains did not change.
Because they're
Mhm.
trying to keep up with technology instead of letting technology
Right.
just move ahead
mean,
and
I
change
can't
when they're needed.
Begin to tell you how many moms in the homeschool group that it's still like, what curriculum is great for my 3-year-old? None. Not a damn one. Get
It's like you
outside,
see the
get
kids.
dirty, read a book, and make some art. That is all you need to be doing.
I know people who put their kids in organized sports at 2 and 3 years old.
Yeah.
How do you
You're on a
organize
soccer
2 and
team.
3-year-olds?
Were they Asian? Because I knew Asian parents who did that.
No.
Well, we had T-ball. Everybody had T-ball.
At 2,
No,
3
I
or
think ours
4.
started 4 or 5.
3 or
I
4.
started,
But that was
5.
everybody understood that was just hilarious to watch.
No, this
And,
was like
you know,
serious
No, this is like T-ball, and maybe they run around, and somebody's in the dirt in the corner of, and somebody's picking their nose, and it was fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't a sport.
No, this is way
Some
more.
of them walked out to the end of the field and sat down.
right.
And that happened.
Playing with flowers. Somebody
Yep.
fell asleep. Somebody's crying. Yeah, the
Yeah.
ball never made it past.
Yeah, you can't.
First base.
I mean, you got to let kids be kids, and you're
Right.
forcing it earlier and earlier and earlier, and they do get under stress and they do get pressed because they can't keep up, and that's
Mhm.
when suddenly they're unhappy and they're miserable. Oh, maybe it's because you think you should be a boy or a girl.
Mhm.
And kids have an innate nature to want to please, and they want to please their teachers.
Mhm.
School's easier if you
Yeah.
please their teacher. So, if they're not showing them, I really hate the word book banner, because I think there's a difference between banning books and having appropriate books
Right.
that children have
Curating
access to.
age-appropriate books is
Yes,
different than
because
banning them.
You can put whatever book you want in the public library. I don't care. But in a school library, certain things are not appropriate for certain age groups, and I don't think they should be there. And that's not banning books. That's just saying, hey, these kids aren't emotionally or mentally ready for this kind of subject matter.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, 3 and 4-year-olds don't need to know about sex stuff.
Well,
They really
what's-
don't, because Lord knows they don't even know about their own
Right.
body parts at that point yet.
people don't realize, and I still need to do this for Carrie. I bought it's 2 sidebars. Number one, people don't realize that for many, many years thus far, the public school libraries have been sorted by the Lexile scores, and that does not actually mean what the child can comprehend. It means what the child can read. So I, and probably you three, were well above our age level readers.
Mhm.
And that would have got us in some serious trouble
Mhm.
if at 3rd
Oh.
grade they'd let us read what we could physically read.
It wasn't.
I know, because we had to
just did
steal
it.
the books our mothers had, or other
But
family members
what
had
we
to read
could
them.
cognitively understand and critically think about, that's very different than the actual reading of the words. So the Lexile score, I think it's just total bullcrap in schools. But I've had these books for like 2 years, and I need to sit down and read them, but I have to actually study again, like in college. But in college, we had 2 series of books for early childhood, which was called Developmentally Appropriate Practice and the Anti-Bias Curriculum. So I went, because dumb me threw out all my college books, I went on eBay and bought the old copies that I had when I was in college of Developmentally Appropriate Practice and and that's what it was called, the Anti-Bias Curriculum. That is what it was called at the time. So the Anti-Bias Curriculum was like this big, maybe like this big. Okay, it was pretty standard, it was woke for the time. I mean, it was politically correct, but it was common sense stuff. It was, we don't point out the differences among each other. We point them out as just simple facts. Oh, his skin's brown. That's cool. Your skin is peach. That's neat. Yeah, you both like Chucks. That's pretty much, short version. The new version is like this thick. And I'm like, oh my God. So I just started skimming through it to see what it was. I'm like, this is going to take some major study. I'm going to have to just devote 2 months of reading this and studying it. Because I told Carrie I would do it for a show. Just to show the difference between 2025
Mhm.
early childhood training and 2005. Just in 20 years, the difference,
Well, I mean, when we would read something in class, we had where you would read a paragraph or a page, and then you'd have questions about the comprehension of it.
Right.
You get vocabulary words to learn, but you'd also get questions on whether or not you understood it and what were the concepts. Now they rush through so much because everything's standardized. How many words you know, how much.
Right. Well,
But you're
Common
not-
Core changed that because now
Yeah,
it's
Common Core
informational
stuff.
text and close reading. That's what it is now. Close
Yeah.
reading and informational text. My kids have not. They have. The oldest one is done, but they didn't read a whole novel. They would read the pieces and the parts of the novel and then discuss it. I'm like, what the hell? How
I
are
know.
you not just
And
reading To Kill a
my kids
Mockingbird
were
all the
in
way
high
through?
school. At some points, they were the same way, and I'm like, but you don't get the whole
Mm-mm.
characterization. You don't get the
Right.
whole feelings. You don't get the emotional impact. Yeah,
This is
everything's
my
pushed
commercial
towards.
for homeschooling your kids.
Yes, Adam, orangutans always look like they're having a blast up in the trees. Okay, I'm not sure where that came
What was that for?
from.
I love you, Adam.
You do. Yeah, I mean, I just like I saw something where Prince Harry's wife was doing an interview and she's talking about how hand writes in her fancy calligraphy notes every day to put in her kids' lunchboxes. They're 3 and 5. I doubt they can read. Like, why are you putting notes in their lunchboxes that they can't read? Like, it's virtue signaling. I don't believe she does it. It's virtue signaling. It's like, sure, if your kid's
Well, I mean,
older,
you draw a little heart and I love you. That's,
maybe, I don't know,
yeah.
but from the way
Then
she
a
talks,
5-year-old
she
might be
writes
able
some
to-
special little notes. Like, well, and so the teacher has to read it to the 3-year-old. I don't. What's the point? I mean, but show you're a good mom because you write a note to your kid.
The bodyguard reads it. Let
Probably.
me open your pudding cup for you.
I don't know. And then she's talking about how, her life she's so busy and it's so hard, and it turns out she's had a nanny, or at least one. Like, oh, don't talk to me
God.
about hard life if you've got a nanny, because most people who are raising children don't. But I don't think kids get enough time to be kids. I don't think that they get
No, they
to.
don't.
They don't get to pursue their own interests either as kids.
Do
Because
y'all see kids like playing outside any?
I very rarely. There's a few kids in my neighborhood I see outside, but most of them I don't even see. And I
No,
live a
they
block away from a school, so I know there's plenty of kids in our neighborhood. But I couldn't tell you because and to be fair though, here it's a little hot sometimes to play
Oh,
outside.
yeah.
But still, you'd see them outside, but not very
We have
often.
kids. You can hear them. They scream
But
like they're being snatched up. They scream.
Yes, like they're getting savagely axe
Yeah.
murdered.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, that's appropriate, actually.
Yeah, that is.
It's absolutely
Imagine
not.
I saw on I don't know if it's an Instagram, an article, I can't remember, but a man took his kids' phones away and made him go outside and told them to play. And they were both just sitting on like a swing, just with their heads down, like totally bored because they had no idea what to do.
I know. I always say that joke. It's like, I'd love to take my kids and drop them off in 1985. My oldest would be like, that'd be fantastic. You could track me anywhere. He'd be the kid dying of alcohol poisoning in the field.
Oh, dude, you don't understand. In 1985, there was a mother's network, and somebody in the neighborhood knew what was going on
We
with
still were doing some stuff that nobody
Not
knew
mine.
about.
Well, I know, but it wouldn't have been as easy as he thought it was. But I don't know. I worry about kids. I worry about the future because there's so many kids out there dumb as rocks. And I see them on these court shows because they're doing stupid stuff. And the judges are just like, what's the highest grade you got to? 11th grade? Why? Oh, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, that's
Or the
the
ones-
problem is we just keep passing the kids. We just pass them.
Yeah, there was a thing the other day with this girl who was an honor student. She was a senior honor student. She couldn't read or do math,
Right.
but she kept getting passed.
Right.
Dude.
But that's also parents who aren't engaged and have no clue what's going on with their child either. I mean, if you're not talking to your
Right. But
child,
they
and you
still
Well,
have like policies that once they're past like 3 years, you have to pass them.
oh, I know.
Because they can't have that big an age gap among the kids. Which
Oh,
I
I know.
understand because you can't have a 21-year-old with 12-year-olds, but
But a parent who is engaged in their child's life is going to say, "Hey,
Right.
wait a minute, my kid can't read. What can we do about
Right.
this?"
Right.
The parents who just let the schools raise their children
Right.
aren't engaged, and it's scary.
Mhm.
But that's not a new problem. That's an old problem.
Oh no, I know. But it used to be, a lot more parents were involved.
I think a lot of it was it used to be that we just didn't have easy access to know how dumb everyone was.
Yeah.
People didn't broadcast how dumb they were.
Yeah, I mean, social media does make that a lot easier.
Makes that way more obvious.
There's so many dumb ones who go to court, and really, you really think that was a smart choice? Or we're talking back to the judge, and it's like, it's not a good idea. Well, why didn't you go get drug tested? Well, I had other things I needed to do. Yeah, not the answer the judge was looking for.
So parents of young children, take away the screens, throw your kids outside.
Mhm.
Stop saving your children.
Mhm.
Stop saving them from every little thing.
Mhm.
Because I think that's the whole snowball of it all, is they can't be the libtards can't be comfortable in their own discomfort. Your
Well,
life is not a happy little rainbow unicorn.
because they've always been told their feelings matter,
But
and the
they
world
don't.
revolves around
I'm
them,
sorry,
but they
they
don't.
don't.
See,
Sorry.
Gen X knew that our feelings didn't count at all whatsoever.
Nobody gave a shit.
Nobody ever asked us what our feelings were about something. Shut up and do what you're told.
Stop.
Like my son got so mad at me when I fell last Saturday because the nurse and the EMT came and checked my hand, and she says, "Well, if it's hurting more, it gets more swollen, wait a couple days and go get it checked." Fine. And he's like, "You should have gone right to the hospital and whatever." I'm like, "Sweetie, I grew up in the walk it off generation.
Yeah.
We don't go for
Rub some dirt on it.
yeah, basically." He's like, "But that's wrong. It could have been so much worse." I'm like, "And if it had, then I would have done something." But that's
And I
how
know,
we
like,
work.
they say crap like, well, that's sticks and stones generation. Y'all didn't learn how to process your feelings. Okay, fine. We didn't. Guess what? We have jobs. We have mortgages. We have families.
We're surviving.
I think we made out okay. We
Well, the
learned
problem is they're too much in their
you're
feelings.
too much in your
Well,
feelings.
I don't think it's
That's all
not
they worry about.
processing. I think it's more we accepted that our feelings, that the world doesn't revolve around our
Yeah.
feelings, and that
Yeah.
they only apply to us.
Mm-hmm.
That we can't expect everyone else to stop what they're doing and care about our feelings, because that's
We just-
reality.
We just bitched with our friends about our feelings and how our
Right.
parents were whatever and the teacher sucks and blah 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 blah. But guess
Right.
what? You got up and you went to school and you got up and you had to go to work and
Yeah.
I think part of their problem nowadays is their music sucks.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
just
That's true. That's true.
I'd be
Mm.
depressed too.
Although I did send Tina the best version of Pink Pony Club the other day. It was like the cat. I forgot it was Cat something club. I forgot what it was, but it was like a cat song to the Pink Pony Club song. I'm like, all right, I'll allow this. this I'll tolerate.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a whole generation of kids who never caught fireflies, and that's sad. I mean, here we don't have them in the West Coast, but
They're like
I
gone
grew up
here.
with them.
Like
Yeah.
legit. They're
It's
gone.
sad.
I don't know where they went, but they're gone.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of them here.
I have
Yeah,
maybe
that was
seen like
that was
one or
my
two.
childhood. Going out at night, seeing the fireflies.
Mhm.
Not doing anything, just walking around looking, playing. Mess.
No, but even
Getting
like
torn up by mosquitoes.
where
Yeah.
yeah, I got plenty of those still. But where Denise
Yeah.
lives, like I grew up like down the road from Denise. Like my dad's house is there, and the fireflies were everywhere. But even like
Mhm.
her house, I mean, it's probably been 10 years since I saw fireflies at her house at night.
Yeah,
Now, I'm
see,
not there
that's
at time
sad.
of night, but they're not that many. And I'm like, where the hell the fireflies go?
Probably all that crap they're spraying in the air.
Probably. Well, we do have
Could be.
mosquito trucks and stuff with spray, so they probably did kill off the fireflies.
Well, also, I think too, it's especially women are taught that they think their only value is in their appearance and how few clothes they can wear.
Yeah.
And it's reinforced when you go through Instagram, all these women are wearing basically nothing, and they don't have the self-esteem to say, you know what, I don't have to dress or not dress like everyone else to have value.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, like, even 5 years ago, when my son was in high school, and we dropped him off at homecoming, the hoochie mama dresses, and I'm like, what the hell? You look like young girls should not dress this way. I'm sorry. And that's on the adults in their lives.
I'm starting to see though that girls are starting to go back to the
Some,
nicer, poofier
Some.
dresses, and
There's a whole
at least longer ones.
modesty
Yeah.
movement. There's a whole modesty movement going on on TikTok,
Yeah.
where women are starting to
But
dress.
then again, then you have the whole homemaker like influencer crap that's like they glamorize it and it's fake and it's and I'm like, no, I want to see an influencer with baby puke on her shirt and dirty dishes piled up and a
Yeah.
cat box
Yeah.
needs to be cleaned and Cheetos on the table. That's the kind of influencer I want to see. I want to see
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah, I mean, everything's so curated on social media, and it cracks me up, all these young women who listen to TikTok for all the advice in their life. Like, really?
Yeah.
Don't get your advice off TikTok, because usually the people telling it have no clue what they're talking about. Like the
Right.
ones telling me, "Oh, you should dress like sexy sirens in the office. That's the new thing." No, it's not. And then they do, and they get fired. Like, who knew dressing like a hooker at work would get you fired from a corporate job?
I mean, unless you're an actual hooker, then you know.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
and then that's appropriate. Yeah. That's like the whole, like, I have a picture, and somebody the other day posted, a friend of mine posted a meme about like how the media only shows part of the story. So I have these two pictures that, like, the one picture is Lucy's the dog, and Lucy is like on the floor on the tile, and she's laying there, and then the cat is like in the huge dog bed. Like, so it looks like the cat stole the dog's bed, which he does all the time. That is true. However, I took another picture, panned out, and there's a perfectly fine dog bed next to Lucy.
She just sits on the floor.
And she's choosing not to sit in it. But
Yeah.
the media would tell you,
Oh, I know.
cat steals dog bed from dog.
Cat
and she's
supremacist.
Yeah,
miserable and on
yeah,
the floor.
yeah. Adam, I saw a video this girl made about those bubble skirts where you see the ass cheeks hanging out, and they don't wear underwear. Oh yeah, it's a huge thing where it's just like a piece of cloth. You know the bubble skirts like in the 80s that would go down like to your knee, where it's like where the hem is like
Like that.
folded over and like a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they're now, but they don't cover the back of your butt, so your butt cheeks hang out, literally.
But they make underwear.
Yeah, but a lot of these girls evidently don't wear that, and so people were calling out.
So you're like a
you're
baboon?
Yeah, basically, you're sitting on places with your naked ass.
Ew.
Snail trails?
Well, not only that, they're going to
Oh.
places like Disney. They're going to places like Disney and stuff with kids, and these women are like, don't
terrible.
do like that. Don't don't go to places where people don't want to see that.
And that would be why fecal matter is all over public places.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much.
Ladies.
Not to mention the disgusting other reasons fecal matter is on public places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, no. Like, I saw some random thing, and it was like the Graham Norton show, because I love to watch the clips from that.
Yeah.
And it was, I talked to the audience, and this lady's like, well, he's like, so what's your irrational fear? And she's like, well, first of all, it's not irrational because I'm a forensic something, whatever. The scientist person that does the forensic things, that's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. I want to say psychologist, but that's not right. But the forensic person. And she's like, so it's not really an irrational fear because I know where it all is. But she's like, essentially, sperm is in far more places than you think it is.
Mm.
And like everybody, you know how Graham Norton has those red sofas?
Mhm.
They all like stood up off the sofa and they were like, oh my God. She's like, yeah, it's everywhere. You don't want to know where it is. And they're like,
Yeah.
Okay. It's like skirts that short,
Oh, my Lanta girl. No. Okay.
No.
and
First
people
of
wear
all,
them out in public.
She has thighs. She has thick thighs. How is she not wearing shorts under that dress? She's gonna get chafed
Yeah.
so freaking badly. First
Yeah.
of all. Second of all, honey, put your coochie away. Nobody wants to freaking see it. What are you doing? You're like advertising. Are you
Yeah.
advertising your OnlyFans or something? Like, what are you doing? Like, follow me for my link? You're gonna get your QR
Look
code
how
tattooed
short
on your
that
butt
is.
cheeks?
It's like 6 inches.
Oh,
I can't see it.
15% off
No,
though.
you can't see that.
Yeah, sorry. I don't
Looks
want
like they
15
took
off.
75% off the length.
Yeah, it's like 6 inches wide.
Oh, yeah, no.
And they wear them and they can see everything underneath. And it's like, really?
First of all,
Really?
I don't want to shave that hard.
Right?
Yeah, where is your mother? Where is your
Second of
father?
all, ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you must not live down here where it's swamp ass and you sit on a public place. No, you don't
Yeah.
want other people's sweat there. No.
Is grody to the max.
But it was funny seeing other women calling him out. Like,
Well,
Telling
baby,
them,
I'm
like-
just worried about your UTIs. Like, let's just take the modesty out of it, sweetie. That's how we get infections. Like,
Yeah.
no.
yeah, it's unsanitary, at least in the imagination. And some of these pictures on this video, I watched a couple of them, and these black girls were doing the video, and they were just calling out other black girls dressing that way. Like, first of all, you're way too big to be wearing something like that. They're calling out this one girl. But it's just gross. It's like you have to show everything.
No.
Yeah, just put the QR code to your OnlyFans on
I
your
mean,
butt.
if you've got
It's-
tight, I mean, if you had dark tights underneath it,
If body
With something covered.
parts, if body parts involve secretions, they need to be covered up. Okay,
yeah.
I'm just gonna go out. Let's
Yeah.
just put that.
yeah, it leaves nothing to the imagination. and
Okay.
nobody wants that. But they were calling out these women who were at Disney.
No.
You know, where
And at
there's
Disney,
children
when
around.
there's little kids, there's little like 3-year-olds walking around Disney. No, they don't need to see your butt cheeks. No,
They're,
ma'am.
they're at that height.
I know.
Their face height. It's like, ew. Like, who wants to see?
Mommy, she didn't shave. Like, ew, no.
No, but it's attention. It's for attention, and it's funny too because they were calling out the fact they when they show their pictures on Instagram, whatever, they only show them from the front. They know how bad it is from the back, but they won't show pictures of themselves that way.
I mean, that's like walking around with the open hospital gown. Like, when you went to hospital, you're like holding that thing, like, oh, please don't let my butt hang out. But man, these girls are just walking down the street with their butt hanging out.
Well, at least you wear underwear with a hospital gown.
Yeah.
Yeah, mother probably helped her pick it out. Some of them, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy what the mothers let their daughters go wearing.
Some people's cheering. That's all I gotta say. Some people's cheering.
Yeah, and you know,
Cause look, I'm not judging big girls with thick thighs.
Oh,
Okay,
me neither. I am one. Hello.
I got it. But we keep it covered up. Okay, just
Yeah.
pure sanitary reasons alone.
well, and you know, gotta leave
I
a
mean,
little.
yes, modesty. Okay,
imagination.
but that can be variable. But just sanitation purposes alone.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's like people walking through the French Quarter with flip flops on. Like, no.
We're going on the subway. Hell no.
No.
no, you don't go on any place like that where no.
No, that's like walking through Manhattan or going to the Jazz Fest and clomping through the horse mud in your flip flops. I'm like, what are you doing? This is a horse racing facility when it's not Jazz Fest.
There's better ways to build up your immune system. Just
Ugh.
saying.
I did hear a
Ugh.
thing about how the reason why Gen X did so much better during COVID is because we built our immune system drinking from the water hose. So, or the other theory was because we drank from the water fountain at school where 400 other kids drank from. So we formed our own natural immunity.
Listen, I had this horse run at Timonium at the fair. It was a fair, racetrack. And the horse ran second. So, of course, he had to go in the test barn or had to cool him out. And it was August in Maryland. Okay.
Ooh.
So, and David's nowhere to be found. So I'm like, I am thirsty. So I go and scoop water out of the horse's bucket and drink it. And some guy's like, oh, I can't believe you just. I said, let me tell you something. I know where this horse's mouth has been. Okay. He's cleaner than you and everybody else at this fair. So hush.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the knitting patterns out there leave a lot to be desired in covering places.
Oh my Lanta. Mhm.
And you do you if that's your thing, but really, does anybody?
I remember being traumatized recently, and I forget by what, because my brain kind of just went, no, out of self-defense, we're going to delete this and forget it ever happened. Yeah,
It was probably James Watts pattern.
probably.
There
Oh,
was
James
a few weeks ago on the Hot Right Now, there was the guy who did the thongs.
Yes.
The banana
Yes.
hammock.
Banana hammocks, yeah.
The hammock, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he likes modeling them too.
Whatever gets your rocks off, buddy boy.
Again, fine in your own house, bruh. But we walk out in public, we cover up the body parts that make juices. Okay?
And don't give it away for free. If you're going to put it on the internet, charge for it. I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah, his weren't free. He charged for them. So, I mean, I think it used like 10 grams of yarn.
A mini stain.
I'm just like, who would want wool? Like, because he used wool. Because I read the page, the Ravelry page.
It does, breathe and is hypoallergenic and all
who would
that,
want wool rubbing.
Well, if
Maybe.
it's nice enough wool, it won't rub wrong.
Maybe. Yeah, horses don't
No,
lick their
because-
butts. That's true.
I mean, I knit
No,
a
they do not.
I did a pair of knee socks once out of my Oracle base, which is just wool and nylon, and it feels really soft up until it gets past a certain point on my leg, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is really itchy, and I can't stand it. So I can't imagine what that would be like on my cooter. Like, jeez. not gonna try it.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I
I
was
don't
just,
think I can make a bra out of it.
I was just reading the what were the materials. I'm like, why wouldn't you use cotton? I'm sorry, but just you use cotton.
Stretchy. Cotton stretches. It's a little.
Yeah, but
They make the kind with elastic in it, though.
They do. They do. They do.
they do.
I made a bikini for actually 2 bikinis years ago when I was really, really poor, and I was like, I'll do anything for money. Okay, you want 2 crochet bikinis? Hell yeah. I had to pay somebody else to sew in the lining, but I got them done and I got them to her. So, yeah, and she loved them too. So that was awesome. But yeah. Speaking of Ravelry, though, going back to this potential site,
Yeah, so can you actually make this? Because I'm down with this.
like what would I wanted to kind of brainstorm like what the ground rules would be. I'm thinking like no politics whatsoever, like politic free zone. Everything just you can talk
Or-
about.
Or all the politics.
Well, I feel like that's what Ravelry was before it got taken over by.
Right, but it's not now. So you
Right,
could have
but there's no guarantee that somebody's not going to step in, take over in the future. Like 10 years from now.
well, yeah. Well, some of you got to know who's running it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that you have to moderate all those groups.
Everything.
You got, each group would have a
Yeah, you'd have to
moderator, and you don't know
I mean,
how
if you
those
didn't
people-
do forums,
I mean,
if you
Ravelry
took
has
out,
hundreds
do
of
we
thousands
really
of
need the
people.
social aspect of it anymore, though?
Well, I
No.
feel like that's what kind of drew people to Ravelry. I mean, at least that's what I was really into for a while because it wasn't just.
but
But I mean, there was cool stuff that I learned. Like
Yeah.
I learned how to dye yarn from Ravelry,
Yeah.
from Ravelry forums. That's like we could keep the forums to like domestic related stuff, like even stretch it to like if somebody wants to do canning or something, or spinning, weaving, tatting.
Sorry,
whatever.
I seriously doubt you have Victorian sensibilities, Adam. Give it a rest.
Okay.
Who
Sure.
Adam? Really? Seriously?
Yeah, no, you did not.
Of all people?
So,
Buddy,
from what
you
I
have
understand,
time
the
for
Victorians like to cut a rug and
Mhm.
do other things.
I mean, like, I don't need I never went on Ravelry for the forums. I went purely for the patterns, but of the patterns, I like to see people's projects.
Mhm.
And
think-
then like what changes they might have made. I never went in the forums to like converse.
I think
And
the forums were popular because at the time they were the social media.
Right.
But
But
since
now that we
there's
have
other social media where people can interact, I don't think you need them as much.
not as much. But if you had them, I'd say all bets are off. Every
Right.
man for himself. Say what the hell you want to say.
I mean, I know they were always woke, but I just think the forums were more that because that was the technology at the time before more social media really
Right.
came out. The only thing with doing it, Ravelry has hundreds of thousands of users, so you would have to, if you're really going to compete, you'd have to have servers that can handle
That's the thing.
That's
that
the
kind of
problem.
traffic.
That's
and
the
that's
problem
really
Nimble
expensive.
fixed that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Lovecrafts
Mhm.
kind of tried, but I mean, and
There
that's the
was a
other thing is,
couple of them.
It's so hard
Yeah.
to get people to break out of.
There was Fiberosity too.
What they
Fiberosity.
I feel like no politics might be the draw for the new site though, because
Mhm.
there's a guarantee
You
that there's
could,
not
but
going
it
to
would
be
have
any
to-
of this.
Yeah, but all the lefties would be afraid to go
Heavily
on there because they wouldn't want to be seen in a no politics place because then they would
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
then
if
they
you're-
wouldn't
if-
be put virtue signaling how left they are.
But if you
if
did
they
do
were-
politics, how far does it go to the patterns? Can the patterns be no, so no Trump, no deplorable knitter, no, none of that stuff?
I guess that's true.
You know?
But,
But,
the
like-
thing is, I feel like there's, because we're so polarized, we have us and then we have the crazy lefties there.
Right.
But we're not all of the knitters on the internet. We're just the vocal
Right.
ones that got the
Right.
Ravelry and started flinging shit at each
Right.
other on Instagram. I feel like there's a huge group of yarn crafters who are as of yet untapped and don't want to go anywhere because everything's been so politicized.
I would agree.
I've been reading comments
think
on different
I've
ads
seen
and
a lot
stuff.
of people that don't go on the forums.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
I never
Well,
really went on the forums much
I
unless
mean, if you did
unless
the
somebody.
forums, you could
I
do
only went
like
if somebody was on their page was running an along or whatever through their forum.
right. But if you did forums, you could do like, okay, politics are here, period. You know,
Yeah.
this is where it is. This is the only spot for it. Anywhere else it goes, deleted, period. You know, in the discussion. So you'd have to have a lot of moderation. That would be the hard part. You have to have the bodies behind it
Well,
to moderate.
it could be lightly moderated. I mean, the evil part of me is like it could be like the Thunderdome where it's like anything goes short of like doxing or threatening, you know? You know, if you
Me,
want to sit there and,
I say every man for himself. As long as it doesn't get you like on the news, like as long as it's not like threats, like real threats, you know, like actual internet
I
safety
think
stuff.
doxing is a line
You
to
know,
draw.
right.
yeah.
So a lot of
So
people have an online presence that they keep separate from their personal presence, and I
right.
think, you know,
But
I
I
think,
personally would want to see the knitting separate from the politics. That's just me.
yeah,
But I wouldn't. If you say no politics, then you can't have like pro-Trump hats or anti-Trump hats
well,
or
I
It's
think
true.
you can have a politics section, but and then you can have a pattern section where people can put their patterns, but no commentary on the patterns.
yeah,
Like,
no conversation. Yeah,
you know, no conversations where the patterns are. If they want to talk about the
right.
politics or whatever, it's separate from the pattern so that people can still
Yeah.
find the patterns and whatnot. I just, you'd have to have a really rule set sign up that would people have to agree to that if they don't follow them, they instantly kicked
Right.
out. Boom.
Right. You
Right.
could probably there's probably a lot of pre what do you call it, like preset um tech things on the back end that could be done. Like if you did no politics, it could just be like automatically if they say Trump, if they say Kamala, if they say Democrat, would all put all these words that if they say it, it doesn't post. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, and that would only be in the forums because if you're gonna have patterns, then then that would eliminate patterns that are of any politics. Which okay, could be.
I mean, I guess I alternatively, what we could do is, I guess you could have like a comment section on each pattern that would, I mean, it's not a forum, but I mean, that would be where people talk about stuff related to the
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah. The
I
form
I mean,
for people who
if you
believe in
look at
only.
Ravelry, like now, the forums and the chat is like it's dead.
Yeah.
It's nothing. They are only using this.
People don't use them that much, really.
No, they are only using this to find patterns and to look at what yarns people used and like.
That's what
I
I
only
use it
use
for
it.
now.
I only use it to find a pattern and to look at the project pages of pattern that I'm trying in it to see how other people did it,
Right.
whatever colorways ideas. Or if there's like there's something wrong with it, I'll go check the project page to see if anybody said, "Hey, you have to modify
Right.
this" or whatever. But
Right.
I don't use it for anything else. I don't engage with anybody on there.
But
I
I do
used to
see-
be
I,
in a lot
I
of
could
groups.
see where you need to have some conversation because it could be of like, hey,
Mhm.
did did you make it with this yarn? How did it turn out for you? You know,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see the need for communicating about the
Right.
patterns. You know,
But that would be more through the pattern page, I think, or
right, but oh yeah, you can do that on Ravelry, huh? Because they could post you could comment underneath it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Or you have
a lot of lefty people won't come on if they can't virtue signal about how much they hate.
Oh, if they found out any of us were involved with it,
Well, I know.
I feel like they'd never come. So
But I think a lot of other people might be afraid to as well because they don't want to be outed. They just want to look at their patterns and do their thing and be not part of the social media aspect of it.
because like there is knits and note. Is that what it's called? Knit
What?
note. Knit
I
and
think
note.
so.
Knit and note.
Yeah. Yeah.
I downloaded it and I started it and I downloaded it when they first started and it was very glitchy because it was the app and I mean I used it some but it's kind of one of those things like when stuff's not the first thing you forget people why are we on Facebook and Instagram and stuff because it was the first of its kind. It's I mean the things that stay are the ones that are the first of their kind. So somebody just needs to kick Casey and her wife out and just fix
I
Ravelry.
really do think that there needs to be a modernized alternative.
There does, and it should be like all crafts too, not just knitting and crocheting,
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
sewing and all that
Sewing.
stuff, you know.
Oh, that's a good
Quilting,
idea.
cross stitch.
Situational. That's a good idea. You could have a username and password, sign an area just for politics only that includes
True.
discussion of patterns. That way people would know exactly what they're possibly getting into.
That is true.
So if somebody wanted to use it but didn't want to deal with
Right.
that, they could just sign up.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like that back room at the video
True.
store.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? You put politics behind a paywall, baby.
Ooh.
If they really want to get into it, make them pay.
For $3.99 a month, you too can join the Thunderdome.
Exactly. You want to talk politics? Cough it up, babe. We gotta pay for this website.
I'm gonna save my money for yarn.
I talk politics with you guys. I don't know.
If you
But
voted
you
for
just-
Trump, it's $2.99. If you voted for Harris,
Yeah.
no, but that's a good idea to keep it separate. And I guess you need to ask people like, what if they left Ravelry? What do they miss? If they stayed on Ravelry, what do they use? Because clearly
Yeah.
we can't talk politics anymore. That's gone. You can't talk about any of that on Ravelry. So if you stayed on Ravelry, what do you use it for? How do you use it?
Yeah.
You know,
And
For
find
me-
out from people, not just us. You
yeah,
know,
not,
other-
yeah. I mean,
normal
what does
people.
what does the chat say? What do
Right.
they? How do they use it? If they use it, and if they don't, what do they? How do they get their patterns? How do they? You know,
Back
You
in the
probably
day,
gotta-
I was in so many groups.
you got to workshop this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to set up the payment system too, where they can, process
Yeah, because
payments and all that
then
kind of
it's a
stuff.
whole I mean, because I know it's mostly funded through advertising, which is fine, but the pattern designer has to get paid, but you got to take a chunk of that to pay for the website, unless you make it all free. And
I
you only
really
get
like the idea of paying extra for politics. I really like that
one.
because I feel like the majority of the people that would go there are leftists.
Yeah. Well, they do love to give their money to their cause, and there's probably some that would pay $3 a month to tell people why they shouldn't be on the site.
You want a virtue signal? You want to vent
Right.
about Trump or whatever? Go right ahead.
Put your money where your mouth is. Or, it's a super secret section that you have to pay.
I have
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
I'm still on Ravelry, but I only look when somebody sends a link, or if somebody's
Right.
like, "Well, look at this horrible thing," and I'm like, "Oh, I can't help myself. Let me go look at this horrible thing," and then I'm like, "God damn!"
Well,
I use
I do still.
Denise's, but
I still sell my patterns there because there's a lot of people who will only buy from Ravelry because
Right.
they can have it added to their library.
right.
And because
So
I had a problem with my
that would be-
website and I had to redo my website.
I wonder if there is a way, because that's what happens to all these websites and all these ideas, is it's starting over. And oh my
Yeah.
God, none of us want to flip and start over again. So I wonder if there's a way, because that's what got me with Knit and Note. I'm like, oh, it was really pretty. It's very well designed. It's very pretty. But I was like, damn it, I do not want to start over putting all my crap in here.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a tech way to take what you had from Ravelry and move it.
Well,
Like,
there
if
is
there
a
was-
way to download your
But if there was a way to import, you know what I mean?
import.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would probably get a lot
They
of people's more attention.
That would probably be a legal issue. I'm sure
Right.
Ravelry would have a problem with that.
Right.
I mean, free patterns. You could.
Right,
but
but
hey-
more like your projects and your stuff
Yeah.
and your notes and all that stuff. Like if there was a
Yeah,
way to take all that and put it somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know.
They,
I don't know.
I don't think they think that belongs to you.
Yeah.
Well, I downloaded all mine and I uploaded it to Google Drive. So when I closed my Ravelry, I took it all off and I put it all on a Google Drive. So you can get it.
Yeah.
No, I
Okay.
understand that, but they believe that that's their information
Right.
because when people were banned in 2009,
True.
you can't access your stuff.
True.
It's gone.
Yeah.
That would be another thing of it is to too. It'd be like, hey, it's always yours. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
would
love the
definitely-
idea. I'm totally down for the
I'm
idea.
totally down for it, but you really have to go through the whole logistics and
It's
It would
very
be interesting
difficult.
to look at Lovecraft, is that what it is? And Fiberosity and Knit and Note, and I wonder if you could get into their
Ravit's the other
analytics.
one.
Huh.
Somebody said in the chat, Ravit.
There was another one. I can't remember what it was.
But like, get the tech nerds to get into their analytics and see like what worked and what didn't work. You know.
And
'Cause
also,
I
I
think
mean,
most-
like, I admit I don't use Ravelry for just because I don't knit from patterns anymore because it's too much authority. I can't. It's too much stress. Like, I just don't tell me what to fucking do. So I'm really not the best person when it comes to like what do you look for in a pattern site. So that's why I'm relying
Right.
on input from everybody as to
Right.
how it would be best structured and that sort of thing.
I think you'd also have to have disclaimers that you have to act like a grown up. If you don't like a
Yeah.
pattern, keep scrolling. We're
Yeah.
not here for you to want to rant or whine or why you don't like a pattern. If you don't like a pattern, you can scroll onto
If you
something
don't like
else
the pattern, you can pay the $3.99 and go over here
and complain about it.
to the
Don't
paid
be a
part.
turd with
Complain
control.
about
But I don't think that, that's the place for, all the ranting and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Be adults, be grown-ups. You don't like it, move on. The world's
Right.
not going to end. You're not going to be totally triggered to the end of the world because there's something you don't like. Newsflash,
I
there's a lot of patterns
disagree.
on there I don't like.
No, I was triggered till the end of the world when I saw that fucking banana hammock. Okay, you don't understand.
Okay.
I was triggered. I am going to be in therapy for the rest of my life. So
I'll
Gonna
make
have
Adam your therapist. How's that?
I mean,
holy shit.
I mean, it would be awesome to just have it's just crafts. It's just yarn. It's just
Yeah.
knitting. It's just crochet. That's it. That's all it is.
Amy, how dare you talk about that? You have privilege. You can want something that only be that. You're not living the life of other people and their lived knowledge and how awful their lives are that they can't just enjoy what they do.
Well, that sucks for them, doesn't it? I could teach
I
them how to
agree.
live like me. I
I
should
do-
make a lesson.
I love how now it's okay to just knit for mental health and whatever. Yet during that terrible summer, if you mention
Yeah.
that, you're a terrible,
Yeah.
horrible, privileged person. Funny how
Yeah.
that changes.
You like Stephen B? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then going after our friend Harmeet, which,
Oh yeah.
and first of all, doesn't make economic decisions, so duh, you're not even getting her job correctly. And so what? She bought a pattern, so now designers shouldn't get paid, even if it's Andrea Mowry shouldn't get paid.
Right.
And maybe she bought it during one of her birthday sales. Maybe she only paid $3 for it. You don't know. But to say because somebody bought a pattern, it means they're stupid because they're Republican just blows my mind. And if you really knew knitting, you would realize that that's brioche and not ribbing. So-
Well, and also, why aren't you bitching at the designer for overcharging for a simplistic pattern?
Yep.
Because
You're bitching about
designers
something
deserve to make
paying for it.
a living, don't you know?
No, not all the designers, just some of the designers.
Yeah,
Only
not
the
petite
big
knits and not petite knits and not Andrea Mowry and not Caitlin Hunter or Stephen West. They don't deserve it, but others do. They were going after petite knit again because of the neckline on one of her sweaters.
So see, there should be like a blocked forums version.
A block or
What?
Blocked.
That's
But
actually
let's-
not a bad idea.
I mean, it'd be like, okay.
To
because you could be an anonymous person online.
Yeah.
So I mean, hello, he already has a magazine. He already has the patterns. If they were all in this one cohesive, yes, they're on the link tree, but you got to click to each one. So what if you just took the idea of that and you just expanded upon it? That's
Yeah.
the margarita talking. Sorry, Neil. I just
I'm
stole
like,
your magazine.
I need more margarita because I don't understand.
Like,
I know what you're saying.
Where
Because-
on this new website or Ravelry or on Block?
No,
What-
like on a new forum-y website,
Okay.
because Blocked is essentially conversations and patterns and resources.
right.
So you put it all together on an one online forum thing. Again,
Like the old
pol-
message boards we used to have.
with the politics behind a paywall. I maintain politics behind a paywall. Period. Left or right.
Neil's listening to this thinking, "Oh God, I don't have time to do that. What are you making?" That's crazy.
But
Get
I'm
on
just
it,
saying,
Neil.
like that, no, he doesn't have to make it. I'm just saying that premise, though, because
I know.
originally, yes, Block started as a pissing contest, but it's really not now. It's just a flippin' knitting magazine that every now and then there's a little bit of drama. Okay, but let's make that a forum.
I wonder
not
what
make
Neil
sense?
is doing
You
right
know,
now with all that
He's
information.
like,
That magazine
bitch.
that's not going to last. Darn it!
Oh, wait, what?
That magazine that's not going to last.
I give it 2 months.
One issue, maybe tops. 3 freaking
You know
years
that
later.
that racist anti-POC magazine, because they go after POC makers. No, they call that bad behavior. There's a difference. He calls that bad behavior on both sides. It's like comedians used to could joke about anybody and anything,
Yep.
but now they can't because somebody gets offended.
Boo hoo.
That's why so many comics stopped doing the college circuit, because they couldn't go tell their jokes because they get too offended.
It's funny because remember when it used to be like the woke people, it was just, it's just a fringe thing. It's
Mhm.
little. They're gonna grow out of it, and then they're gonna go into the real world. And they're gonna wake up, and then that didn't happen. And then the trans people, it was like, it's just like so few of them. It doesn't matter. Just let them, just tolerate them, and blah blah blah. And now all of a sudden, it's like a full blown crisis, and it's like, I feel like the pendulum has to swing back, and like you have
I think
to
it's already started swinging back, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is it's going to swing back really, really hard, and there's going to be some collateral damage.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
But I think the lesson from all this is that when weird anti-reality stuff starts trying to become mainstream, you immediately nip it in the bud and you have a no tolerance policy.
yeah, I think we need to call out a lot of people who let things get too far, and authority, judges, big pharma, government,
Yeah.
the usual people guilty of things. But no, I think your idea for a website is really great. I think figuring out the functionality is going to be
I'm going to do a lot more polling and asking and feeling around and stuff. But I'm also, like, most importantly, to see if it can be done and what it would need to exist. Whether a big server or some kind of like I said, I don't know shit about Buck, so he can sit there and ramble on about JavaScript all day long, and I'm just like, okay, I trust your
oh, you're
judgment.
so pretty. No.
Bravo. That's coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I love coffee. Wow, what flavor of JavaScript?
Yeah, no, it just so many people in the knitting world spend all their time being unhappy and miserable
Yeah.
about knitting. Like, I don't get it. If you're so miserable and unhappy, move on, do something else. Don't spend on your time all on Reddit looking for people to call out.
Reddit.
Or-
But they're activists. You don't understand. They're doing a resistance. They're doing the thing.
Yeah,
I will say, actually, this is really funny. I've already had
Happy
one
birthday.
sale today because of that post. And also somebody messaged me to say, hi, I just wanted to let you know I started following you because of that list.
Aw.
Fear that people are getting
Score.
bullied like that.
that makes up for the one who didn't like your color name
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
and thought
Oh.
we were going to tell you to change it. That's what I thought was like. I was your keeper or something.
Yeah, you and Deplorable Knitter both. Like, she was just making the rounds. Like, well, if I knock on this door, maybe that person will be like, oh yeah, that's Tina. She's
She makes
terrible.
up her own colors. We have no,
Well, hell,
I
half the time-
messaged Amy. I'm like, Can you
I'm,
please?
I'm half the reason she has inappropriate.
She's
Well.
a bad influence. As if I needed one. She's the enabler. She's
How
like,
we
oh,
all
that's a
come up.
terrible idea. Go do it.
We all come up with terrible color names for you, though. That's,
Mhm.
you know, nothing beats the Joshua of the you know what.
The Holy Book of the Foreskins.
Yeah. Wonder how poor Joshua's doing these days.
I don't want to know how Joshua's doing,
I
and
hope he gets the help he needs.
Doubt
Clearly
it.
he needs.
Is there
That's
a
the thing.
therapist that specializes in that? I don't think so.
I'm not
Well, it's
googling that.
It's
No,
just so
no.
many people. It's like, yes, people have mental health problems, but so many more people now. Okay, that's the end of life. Can't expect me to do anything. Can't work. Can't be responsible because I've got mental health. Well, a lot of people have had mental health problems for a long time, yet they still function.
I've got an idea. Sorry, squirrel. Life with me. What if we make a poll of some kind? You know, I love my Google Forms, and Neil can put it in blocked, and there all of us can share of like just like a quick poll. Do people want another form?
Right. Like,
And if
would
they
you
do,
even use it?
If they
What
do,
would-
what do you want it to be?
Oh,
You
and
know.
Tina, I have some people's contacts that actually did this, and you might be able to, ask them what worked, what didn't work, that
Alrighty.
sort of thing.
Because I think it's a good idea and I think it's needed. I think that we have to adjust for current age social media tech changes.
Right.
I don't think the Ravelry that existed can ever really exist again, personally.
No, because people
me.
interact online differently.
They interact
Yeah.
differently. The devices are different. I mean, Ravelry
I
still
didn't really
doesn't.
think about that, to be honest, because I stopped really heavily using Ravelry back in I don't know, I want to say 2015, 2016.
Right,
So that was
but,
a
like,
long freaking time ago.
If you've tried to use it on a mobile device, it's not as user friendly.
No,
Like
it's
you
not.
go to search the patterns, you're like squeezing it,
Oh,
and
it's
moving
awful.
it, and
Yeah.
it's awful. So
Well, they started that in 2007,
yeah, I mean, I
which
understand
is
that.
like dinosaur age.
Right. They did not. They spent so much time worrying about silencing Trump people that they didn't focus on the technology.
Well,
But
when they did, they just made it so
but the
that it made,
technology exists because there's
Yeah.
apps like Discord and Heartbeat and Telegram, and there
Instead
are
of
tons of
whatever, yeah.
apps that exist that could do this. And why someone's not done it, I don't know. Probably because of money. So
Wonder
if
if you
anybody
could
wants to
just
be
do it as a disc. What if you could
our
just do it
sugar
as a
daddy
Discord?
and fund it, But
Wonder if you could do it through Discord, where the servers and all that stuff's you've already got the
what's
architecture.
the upload situation on Discord though?
I don't know.
Patterns.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to have different channels for different patterns and stuff.
Okay.
Like it wouldn't be
Never
mind.
easy
Yeah.
to sort, I don't think.
Okay. Adam might
It's-
say 20.
It's almost like you need.
2007.
It's almost like you need the database of the
I know.
patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a separate community part. Almost.
Yeah,
I think the database of the patterns is not the hard part.
that's just somebody doing them.
As long as
Uploading.
the tech exists for them to upload it. But I mean, then it's I'm not saying it's not easy. Pirates probably like shivering over there in England, but like because it's it's them uploading the pattern, it's them uploading edits to the pattern, it's them saying, "Hey, I changed this errata," or however you say the word.
Yeah, but that's
That's 1,000 little changes to the code. Every time that happens.
but that's not as hard,
No.
difficult to set up as it was back when Ravelry started.
It's not, but think of it from an app standpoint, not a website standpoint.
Yeah.
So, because people generally speaking don't use websites as much as they use apps.
Yeah.
Because we're all stupid and lazy. I mean, I'm just saying, if you think about apps, if you think about your phone and the things you use every day on your phone,
Oh, man.
Yeah. I think it would be best to keep it simple then. So no forums unless you want to pay extra for the political
Yeah, I mean, like
stuff.
to start, you definitely would start with.
Because you
bare
can always add on and increase things.
Right, right. So if you get enough people, enough designers, because you got to have the designers that want to, they're going to get paid. Because I don't know how much it. Stop telling me that I'm doing things with my hand, phone. Stop that. See, the phone's trying to do stuff. I don't know. As Liz, you have designs on there. What I don't know what the parameters are of.
Like on a $5 pattern, I think I pay 79 cents or 90 cents or something to
So do
Ravelry.
you pay to Cat? Seriously?
Which
And
one?
when
Which one? Which one
when
of
I
the
get,
Excuse me, Tina's niece wants in the room. Hold on.
Yes.
I mean, basically, when I get paid, a certain amount goes to Ravelry and the rest goes to me. It's like 79 cents on a $5 pattern or something. So
Yeah, I have a couple of sale patterns on Ravelry still actually, and I forget until somebody buys one, and I'm like,
can you get that weird email?
what the hell?
So you guys upload a
And
pattern.
Lovecraft's charge is about the same. They're about
So
the
you
same.
upload
So,
a pattern. It
mhm.
doesn't cost you anything to upload it.
Nope.
You upload it. You get paid what? How often?
When you make a sale, usually it's a monthly.
Okay.
Um,
That's what I'm saying. That's what the kind of thing you have to, I mean, like you could start with free patterns first and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna upgrade to the paid
Yeah.
later, and yada yada. Because then you're integrating all the payment stuff.
Right.
So whereas
Yeah,
free is
also,
just
there's
I
got to
mean-
be ads too.
right.
for
So you
the
need the
different yarn
ads to
shops.
you need the ads to pay the revenue to run the system, and then to
Right.
pay the designers, you need to integrate the payment systems, which are
Right.
PayPal
You need
and
to set up a
Apple.
Patreon to raise money ahead of time, or give send go or something to raise money for it. Once you find out the parameters and what people want, then do a give send go, and then just advertise it everywhere, and you'll get some money.
I mean, it is
People like to give money.
possible. Everybody that's tried it has not done it the same. They've tried to just make
Right.
different things, and I think that's kind of why it's failed. Is because people are creatures of habit and they want what they're used to.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm
Wonder how
thinking
much-
also, what if there was like a
Wonder how much Ravelry's for sale. How much was
oh
that?
god. I'm gonna get Elon Musk to be my sugar daddy and I'll have him buy it for me.
Well, he is trying to repopulate the earth, so if you were willing to give him a kid, he might. Just saying.
Is Ravelry really worth a kid? Nah, I don't. I'm too old anyway.
I don't know. You get several million from him.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be 39 soon. He'd be like, "Nah, you're too old."
I mean, you'd have to name the kid something weird, but
Ravelry has though, like, you can direct link to a yarn shop, but like from the pattern, right?
I
From
don't
the
know.
yarn,
From the yarn. Like if you look up a yarn,
it'll say you can. Here's places you can buy it.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it could also. I think it'd be better if it was like, you list a shawl and you're like, oh, I used a one yarn and fiber, and then, bam, you click on the link and it takes you to the website and the exact yarn that was used.
That would be cool.
that would be
Yeah.
cool. I don't know how feasible
That's a
that
lot
is.
of code.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would just
Well-
have to put the link in, right?
Well, if the designer was responsible for that, that wouldn't be as bad. On
Right,
your
Like
end as
you
the
just
designer.
put the link in, like when you're uploading
Right.
all the pattern information,
Right.
instead of like on Ravelry, because it takes you to the yarn page on Ravelry, right? And then it's like you can buy the yarn here, here, and here.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I don't really remember.
I haven't really messed with that part. I've messed with the pattern part. So like
I'm gonna look it up.
if it's a free pattern and say they host it on their own blog, it clicks and says the pattern's free here. And you click that and that links you to their blog. So the designer
Well, that
is
leads me to the
responsible.
pattern though. But I'm saying
Right.
like the yarn they use.
Right. So that again, that would be the designer being responsible for uploading the yarn,
Yeah.
saying where they got it, or honestly, that would be a cool aspect of it that isn't a thing, is where to find the yarn.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I'm on Ravelry now. I clicked on the first thing I saw, which thankfully was nothing salacious. It's like some little fishing polar bear or whatever. But it gives you the suggested yarn. And if you click on the yarn, it takes you to the page on Ravelry. And then it says available in United States, for example. And then I guess you could click on the United States link. But that's like a whole bunch of extra steps.
Mhm.
Like I want to directly be linked to the dyer or the company's website from because if I gotta sit here and go through like 8 freaking steps to find it,
Right.
and it
right.
doesn't
Yeah,
even.
I mean,
it's
yeah, I mean, if there
still-
could just be a simple, spot where you could, the dyer or not the dyer, the designer can put in a link to where they can get the yarn
Mhm.
directly, but they can also say, but it's also available, in local yarn stores or whatever, because, clearly not everybody's gonna want to necessarily buy directly.
Right.
That's it. That's
Ooh.
James. And that's his shirt.
Aw, nice.
How
Oh, I see.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Came out great.
Yeah.
Is he happy with it though?
He looks pretty happy.
Oh,
I think
boy.
it's a cool idea and definitely doable. It definitely needs some tech,
Yeah.
and we need to ask people what they think. Like what do people want? What are they missing from?
Yeah.
How
What
many
do you
people
wish
really-
Revelry had?
Yeah.
I mean,
what-
the thing that push it would be to start with dyers and designers buying ads so that they're,
Mhm.
they can advertise this
Mhm.
website so that when people buy the pattern from it, it'll link back to them,
Right.
Right.
because the only way it's going to be successful is if you get enough
Right.
dyers and designers participating. I mean, it's fine that so many yarn people who just like to knit and crochet and whatever are interested, but if they're not the one fueling the actual transactions,
Well, I guess a lot of it too is like, okay, forums. I never really played with the forums, but aren't the forums where a lot of people do their test knitting stuff?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that could be a whole
Oh, we can have a
separate.
test knitting section. Yeah.
But that could be a whole behind a paywall. If you're a designer and you want the test,
Yeah.
Or they do make-alongs.
right.
that
But the
too.
stuff that is going to generate revenue for the creator, they should pay a little something for that. The average person that logs in and says, "I'm just looking for this pattern, and I'm going to spend my money," I
Right.
shouldn't have to pay for that.
No.
That's just me, because you
And
can sign
I
up for
can't-
whatever.
I think as a dyer too, you could pay like $1 a month or whatever, like something small, but $1 a month and get your yarn advertised on there. So there's a direct link to your. It's not like a full advertisement, but
Right.
to have
your
your
yarn
yarn.
can be linked to patterns that use it.
Yeah, and that's what Ravelry
Right.
used to do. There used to be you log into the homepage and there'd be like a couple little ads at the bottom and it would rotate,
But that would be the thing, though. If you don't pay to have your yarn linked, then your yarn doesn't get linked in the pattern.
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
pay $1 for your yarn to get linked on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Well,
think that
and,
makes
I mean,
sense.
like on Lovecrafts, when you upload patterns, they prefer that you put a yarn that's one of the yarns they sell. And
Oh, of
since
course they do.
a lot of the patterns I don't necessarily do in their yarn, but I will always put pick Malabrigo or Rowan felted tweed as the second, I put the yarn I knitted in because you can put yarn that's not from them, but they prefer to have and then I will put in one of their yarns that's applicable, either
Right.
Malabrigo or Rowan or whatever. Some brand I know they sell and it's the right weight. So yeah, so you can, link it.
I would spend some time playing around with Lovecrafts, playing around with Knit and Note and other ones and see what is they are doing and see how it feels as a user,
Yeah. I mean, I remember looking at Fiberosity and I couldn't get into it for some reason.
I couldn't get into that. Knit and Note is beautiful, but it was too much from the fresh start, thing. Because I don't use now that social media has changed, I don't use those sites to it used to be you put all your projects in there.
Right.
That was how you kept track of all your stuff. Now that's not really what it is for me personally. My phone has my pictures and my Instagram and
Yeah,
stuff. So
exactly.
Right.
so Knit and Note is beautiful. It's very well done. Now it was very glitchy at first, but again, to find
I'm
what
looking
you
at
need,
it now.
it's literally like starting over. It is literally like rebuilding everything you've ever saved.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was just it was mentally exhausting. I did not have the spoons to do Knit and Note. So if something was created, it'd be really cool if you could pull your data from somewhere else, even if that meant you uploading it to your Google Drive or whatever, and you pulled it from somewhere else. And I don't know how to do that because I don't know.
I think that's dependent on the place that you're pulling it off of,
Right.
allowing you to pull it off
Right.
too.
So
Yeah,
It's
I don't know how
That's just what
how
it would be.
welcome Ravelry would be to that.
Right. So that's the thing, is it was not easy for me to upload the stuff to Knit Note. I had to literally take each project and start fresh. That was what was annoying to me. I was like, well, I'm not going to sit there and do that. So
Yeah.
I was working on, and it's something I had mentioned to Neil, I was working on a knitter's journal app, or it could be a physical journal,
mhm.
but not the typical journal like your project page, but literally the kind of questions you wish you'd ask yourself when you make something.
Mhm.
Like, how often did I wear this? When you go back to look at the pattern again,
Yeah.
did I enjoy the process or not?
Right.
What are the things, so that you write down the things when you made it that you had issues with, so that when you go back to look at the pattern again, would I really want to remake this pattern or not? Why not? So it's kind of like notes to yourself in the future, and
Yeah.
all the questions you wish you had thought about, or that you wrote down, or, why you didn't like this pattern, or the shape didn't fit, or the sizing didn't fit, or, that kind of thing. So it was something just for your own keeping track of your whips and things you might want to knit.
Right.
Just-
Well, if that's an angle somebody wants, I keep seeing an ad for this thing, and I haven't bought it yet, which I'm shocked, because I'm usually very easily manipulated by ads. That it's this thing, and it's a Google Sheets form, which anybody with Gmail can use, and this person has created this thing to where it's kind of like Goodreads with your books, and but it creates the spreadsheet, which that gets me all excited. But the spreadsheet looks like a bookshelf. So you put all your info in somehow, and it somehow puts your little books on the bookshelf, and I really, really want it, because it puts all your books on a bookshelf. But I'm also like, do I really need to spend the money for that? But it's just a spreadsheet.
But see, that's
So
what I was thinking of, doing something like
I
that.
don't know how this person did that, and it's hats off to them for doing that. But I'm really tempted to just buy it. I don't know how much it is, but it kind of scares me. But I don't know how much info you got to put in to make your bookshelf. So that would be something cool
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
nitty
Yeah.
yarny stuff. It's just simply a spreadsheet that you just put the info in and it auto populates it. That
Yeah.
doesn't help the community forum part, but I just
No.
you said the journal thing, that's what made me think of it.
But I was just thinking of asking all the questions you would wish you had the answers to,
Right.
or how often do you actually wear this? Or,
Right.
Or if you made people gift things, do they actually use them? You made someone gift socks, and then, you just say, oh, I'm going to make them more socks. And then you check in, well, they don't
Does-
ever wear them. Then you put that
does-
in your remote thing, so that you remind yourself, oh, I'm never going to make them socks again.
I
Because
haven't used Ravelry like this in a long time, but does Ravelry that word's hard after 3 margaritas. Does it link to say your socials anymore? Or
Yeah.
no?
It's optional, but yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're okay, I talk about my knitting here, because a lot of times we share that stuff on,
Can you link? I'm wondering. I know you can put your
You know.
socials on there. I wonder if you can link.
so yeah, I get, because if you think about it, when we go on Instagram and we share what we're making and stuff in our whips,
Hey, come on.
that's usually where we do it, and not, I don't know. I guess it's so hard because it's a different time now from when Ravelry started.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You know
can
what I'm
link.
saying?
You can link your socials. Yeah.
but
okay, I
just to
never
your
did.
page, right? Not to your project. So you couldn't link it to your project.
Yeah, that's true. Not to your project. It would just be in your profile.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably thinking way too hard, but
We're going to have to make a list of things that,
what
We-
does the chat say? I can't see the chat.
I can't see.
What
Oh,
do
yeah.
they say?
We have some
Adam's
jokes.
talking about cutting off tips of penises.
Adam, behave.
Yeah, I and the catalog Ravelry, it's going to be impossible to match after these years. But
Well,
however,
right.
I think there's a lot.
Time.
I think there's.
time.
I
Right.
still think there's a lot of knitters out there that are old school and don't even use Ravelry.
Right.
They,
right.
they buy books, they go to the library,
Mhm.
they get
There
magazines.
are, but there should be a way to capture the people that were on Ravelry and either got shunned because of whatever,
Right.
or said, I don't really give a rat's ass who you voted for. I just want to talk about yarn.
Right.
Right.
You know,
It's-
there has to be a way. Unless you know what, we just take Ravelry freaking back.
I don't think we can storm Ravelry
Why not?
because they have us blocked
They
or
can't ban
whatever.
us all at one time. Like, why? Just
They'd have
just
our
Yes,
IP
they
addresses
can.
blocked.
death,
Yes, they can.
death by 1,000 stings. If we just all go in there.
Yeah, then they'll just ban you. I mean, that's their MO.
They
I think having
Okay.
something new would be better though, because
I know, but I'm just saying.
I know. Well,
What if
you
we
know, the
fight
thing is
back?
too,
I mean, come on. Is Cassidy, Casey, whatever, really even doing anything? No.
there might
Cassidy
be,
could be in a mental
be a way
asylum.
where people could download their own patterns and then just upload them. You know, like a bulk upload to
A
like
giant
if-
Google Drive.
Yeah, like if you download your patterns to a Google Drive
I
and then you
got
upload
that.
it, and you can upload it up to
Hey, no, my
the
baby.
new one.
Hey,
I don't
no, my baby. I want my niecey. I want my baby. Sorry.
I have to think about it, but I think if these are going to be a lot of the questions you're going to want to put in your poll. Too.
Yeah.
Um,
This has potential.
Yeah.
It has potential.
I think it's because we're coming at it from a different way than all the others that have tried to make an alternative.
I think everybody else has tried to completely and totally and utterly revamp it.
Yeah.
And I think what most people miss is the way it was.
Right.
But you got to take the way it was and make it 2025 tech, you know.
Right.
I do
So we're on
like
our
the
phones
paywall.
and,
I do
you
like
know.
the paywall thing because that way if people just want to look at patterns and not deal with anything else
Right.
and look at, you know, project pages of the patterns of people who knit it, you know, link to the pattern so they can see.
Right.
And they
Which
don't-
that's kind of, does Lovecraft have any forums?
I don't know. I don't use it for that.
That's what I'm saying. We're like sitting here trying to recreate.
I mean, I have people that friend me or like me, follow me on
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
that's just because they follow when I post a new pattern. But
Right.
it's been a long time since then, and it's going to be a while till, you know.
I mean,
That
I look
happens.
at both if I'm looking for something. First, I see if Denise already has it, and then if she doesn't, then I go to Lovecrafts or Ravelry and see. You know, so if I
Yeah.
have to buy it on Ravelry, I will. But I
I
go
mean-
to Lovecrafts first.
Even before I had problems with my website, I went back to also offering them on Ravelry because there's a lot of people who prefer to get their patterns from one source, or they're
Right.
not they haven't gotten to that point where they had to walk away.
Right.
And I
right,
can't make that choice for them, but I don't
Right.
want to tell them that I don't want their business.
Right.
Right.
So, and I'm not like the crazy people who say, I don't want your money because of your political views. Heck, I don't care what your political views are if you're going to buy my pattern.
Exactly.
You know,
I think there's a large portion of Ravelry that people have no idea what happened
Right.
Right.
either
I
time.
think so too.
That's why I'm saying. So if you just slowly take it back.
problem is we don't have
Oh.
access to any of the control of it, of the technical stuff.
Right. But are they really paying attention?
I mean, you know.
Are they really? Look at the Ravelry front page.
They
How
don't have
often
to be
have they
paying
updated?
attention. They have too many narcs.
They
Yeah.
have not been paying attention to crap.
Yeah, you know what they are, because look what happened when the shawlography thing came out. They
Mhm.
got right on that right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ravelry was paying attention and all the comments and the forum and all that, and you know,
Yep.
they were involved. Which, you know,
I think
pinwheels,
there's-
who knew?
I think
Will
there's
it be a
something.
pinwheel friendly site, Tina?
Huh?
Will it be a pinwheel friendly site?
A what friend?
Pinwheel friendly?
You know, pinwheels like Stephen West Knots and Shaw.
Oh,
Ah, yes, of course. There's nothing wrong
No,
with a
because
pinwheel.
quilters can make every quilt out there that has a pinwheel in it. Nobody
I
says a word.
know.
Plus, I remember when that happened, I looked on Ravelry, and you know how many patterns are on there that actually have pinwheels on them? Nobody said a word.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Well, I guess they're not as high profile, so they weren't worth going after.
Mhm.
I think it's going to take a while to get some of the big names, but if you could get one or two big, decently sized designers to come over, or
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
big yarn companies,
Yeah.
that would be a good start, and I think Public Square, a lot of the people who are on there joined it because they want to put their business out there on every shopping platform
Right. Yeah.
around. They weren't caring about politics about it. They were just taking advantage of every Shopify,
Exactly.
and it wasn't a political choice or whatever. It's just, hey, this one's available and I can sign up for it too. And
I still maintain I may or may not lead the Take Revelry back.
Well, if you do,
So,
we'll be right behind you.
just saying.
wink, wink,
I'm
nudge, nudge.
Where's the headquarters? We're gonna go.
I'm over here thinking about ideas here.
Yeah, there was pre Cassidy and post Cassidy.
Exactly.
What was the name? The other name?
Casey. It was like Casey and then Cassidy.
It was
Casey
Casey then Cassidy. Yeah.
I
Right.
still call him Casey.
He's Casey. Yeah.
All right.
He is Casey.
You've seen him in person. You're allowed to.
He's
Yeah.
Casey.
I don't think
Oh.
Revelry can bar somebody going to a new platform unless they had a
No.
contract with them for ads.
No,
No, they can't.
no.
Man, after that 2009 banning, that was in March. And so the first weekend in May was Maryland's Sheep and Wool. And I'm minding my own business. I'm looking at stuff and I walk around the corner and there's Jess.
Oh
And it was
god.
all I could do, his wife. Well, whatever. And it was all I could do to just shut up and walk away. But I
I'd have
didn't
been
want
like,
to ruin my
look here, woman.
experience.
Well, that's what kills me. It's one thing if you already have a relationship with someone. Like, I don't understand these vendors and who've already got clients they've interacted with or people they've interacted and
Mhm.
had common goals and common interests with on social media. And suddenly they're, you're evil, can't have anything to do with you.
Right.
It's like,
Dude, people cut out their family members.
I know, I don't understand it.
It makes no sense.
It's like
Oh,
I used to buy projects
I got
from
an
this
idea.
one girl in England because it was a fun aesthetic. I loved her snark, and she put a whole thing out there that she didn't want Trump voters to spend money with her. And this was before the last election. I'm like, well, I don't think you understand exactly why people in America choose to vote for Trump. I said, there's very, very reasons that you may not be aware of since you're not aware of our full political situation. She's like, I don't care. They're evil. That's fine. I said, I just, I'm sorry that you don't want me to do business with you because we've had a great relationship. We've commented on each other's post a ton.
Mhm.
I don't, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And I was just like, really? You're turning down money because of that? Like, how virtue signaling can you be?
Yeah. All right, Amy, what are you doing? What are
Amy,
you doing?
what
over
do
there?
She's busting here.
I got my idea, and somebody write it down because I'll forget.
Yep.
So when we actually make this thing, okay, when this actually happens, if it happens, okay, we make her, you have to do the thing when you sign up for something and you put your email and blah 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 blah. They have the CAPTCHA thing to
Mhm.
prove
Yeah.
you're human, you're not a robot. There
Yeah.
should be like an extra one, and it should be like, did you vote for Donald Trump? And if they click yes, or if they click no, we go, we don't effing care, just knit.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Brilliant.
It's like, we don't really care. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
now the whole this, denying people their human rights and kicking immigrants out of the country. And
Be like, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Click, whichever way.
We don't
Either
care.
way, no matter what it says, it's going to say, we don't care. Here's the yarn.
Yeah.
Literally
Welcome.
don't care.
Welcome. We don't care. Here's the yarn.
Mhm. To vote for Starmer? No, we don't care.
Somebody write that down for me.
I think we'll remember that one.
What's your favorite color?
Oh, because
We don't care.
this person's not going to flock because of U.S. immigration problems, and it's so scary.
Oh, yeah.
Not if you're legal, not if you have legal paperwork. It's not scary. There's been an increase in legal immigration right now because a ton of people who wanted to come here. It's actually more people who want to come here legally
Yeah.
from other countries.
Lori, I'm
Really?
actually thinking about knitting one of her shirts and maybe an orange.
Ooh.
Good shirts.
You'll have to link Block Magazine to
The
it.
lady that can't immigrate here, she can't visit because she thinks it's immigration or some stupid
Well, yeah, it's
Where
like,
does she live?
Scotland.
Okay, well, she is a citizen of Scotland.
But
Okay,
she
well,
can't
then
visit the United States because of our immigration.
Is she trying to immigrate or just visit? There's a freaking
Visit,
There's a
difference.
because she's
difference.
dumb.
Because it's scary here. You know.
If you're just trying to visit, you just need your handy dandy passport and your visa, and then you can come visit.
Well, like we're going on the cruise to Alaska next May, and it goes to part of Canada. It starts in Canada and goes to Alaska. And one of my sister-in-laws was like, well, depending on the immigration system,
What
like
are you talking about?
what does that have anything to do with us?
Yeah.
You know? And she's like, the tariffs. I'm like, yes. What is that going to have anything to do with us? Because we're on the boat. We've already paid for the boat. So,
Oh, now they're bitching about Alberta. Oh, Alberta is going to be part. I'm like, good, because they have good meat.
Oh my goodness, they were already complaining. I saw. Oh my god, it's gonna be a long
They
hurricane
have
season.
beef.
People were already freaking out because Gulf of America now, and the weather people were like, look,
Hmm.
chill out.
I saw that.
The National Ocean, whatever, blah, 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 NOAA, whoever they are, whatever.
NOAA.
They're the
NOAA.
ones that call it what they call it. Okay,
Mhm.
we're just gonna call it what we call it. It
Mhm.
is what it is. We don't really care. We're just trying to tell you if the storm's gonna blow you away. Okay.
I saw that.
does it
Some
matter
places-
what the
some-
water's called? I mean,
some people
really?
might call it Gulf of Mexico. Some people might call it Gulf of America. You need to understand it's the water below your states. Okay.
The important
Pay
thing is that the
attention.
Epstein files have not yet been released. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
let's keep the perspective here.
And the guy's like, I'm just trying to keep y'all from dying in a hurricane. That's all I'm trying to do here.
I think people are
The
going to
Gulf.
start now. From now on, a lot of people will just be calling it the Gulf.
We've always
know.
just called
They
it the
do
Gulf.
anyway.
Well, I know, but I mean,
None
a
of
lot.
us have
I
called
mean,
it the Gulf of
you guys
Mexico.
do, but I think a lot of people from other parts of the country will feel like they have to refer to it that because they don't want to call it Gulf of America.
I know they got pissed in Florida
America.
because
It's pretty stupid.
Pensacola put up their new sign and it said the Gulf of America because it used to say the Gulf of Mexico. So they changed it to say the Gulf of America because that's technically.
Boy, they didn't care when we changed all the names of the military bases
Right.
and we changed the names
Yeah.
of all everything else.
Right. None of us freaking called it Gulf of America. None of us call it Gulf of America. We just do that to be smart ass now. We
Yeah.
all just call it the Gulf. And we all know what it is. Okay. If you live on the Gulf of whatever other Gulf, the Persian Gulf, you call it the Gulf, I'm sure. It's come on.
It's Gulf
What do y'all
Fire,
call the lakes up there in Michigan? What do y'all call those?
The Great
Lake.
Lakes.
Great
Okay.
Lakes.
Do you sit there and call each individual lake by its name?
Well, yeah. If you're
It's
going
depending where you
one-
live by one of them.
Okay.
yeah. Like
It's
I
depending on
live,
which one you
Still
live
just the
by.
lake.
I live pretty close to Lake Huron.
But it's still the lake. You don't say I live by Lake Huron. Oh, we're going to visit Lake Huron, right? We're going to the lake.
Well, no, because there's a lot of lakes.
Oh, well.
So-
I'll
Yeah.
help you.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
let's-
you're close to it,
Yeah.
then you say the lake.
Yeah.
But if you're like at my house, if I say I'm going to the lake, well, the lake's right there, so it's not Lake Huron because that's up there a little bit.
Oh,
Like-
all right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
lakes.
get what you're saying though.
All right. Yeah.
So,
But either
guys,
way.
we're gonna have to end up soon because it's
Yeah, 'cause
almost
my
7.
back is killing me from sitting in this stupid
Yes,
chair.
I haven't eaten yet.
I gotta run off and feed my cat.
Oh, you
or
better
she's
eat
moving
something.
me.
I haven't
Two
eaten either.
and a half
But Amy
margaritas and
needs
no
to
food
eat.
yet.
Amy needs to eat. It's getting late for her.
Amy's okay, but y'all need to write that down. That my idea.
What
I think
was
it's
it?
brilliant.
It
It
was
is brilliant.
What was it?
The-
Oh, okay, I got
Who
you.
did you vote for? We don't care.
You were supposed to write it
I didn't
down.
write it down.
It's on video. It's being recorded. It's
That's
fine.
true.
Did we say blocked? How many times did we say blocked? Have you read the Blocked magazine?
Blocked? What is blocked?
Are you blocked?
You
Teresa,
blockhead.
Blocked.
what was that magazine, Teresa, that you like?
Oh, Block Magazine? It's
You-
blocked.
You've been blocked.
You've been
You've
blocked.
been blocked.
He's gonna be like, you bitches.
Well, he could have come on and stopped us.
Hey,
but he
Neil.
chose to get in a fight
You've been
online. So
He's the one that said he wanted it.
I know.
You are so blocked.
That would actually be good. That would actually be even more diabolical if they clicked. They voted Democrat. You say you've been blocked.
Sorry,
No,
you're not
no, we're
eligible.
trying to be in.
That
and
would
then it
defeat the
opens up to let him
purpose.
in.
That would defeat the purpose of the website, but it'd be hilarious.
It would be. Well, I'm so glad some of them stay up at night worrying about, what other people are doing with their businesses and who other people buy from, because they feel like it's their sworn duty to tell people not to buy from places.
Yep.
And then the I'm just putting it out there. I'm not telling anybody not to do business.
I'm not
with
Right.
starting
Yeah,
shit,
I'm just
then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I can't even comment because I've been blocked twice from both
Yeah.
accounts.
You've been what?
Blocked.
Blocked.
You've been blocked?
Well, we need to start saying blocked in different languages.
Oh, jeez.
Oh. Oh, how do you say it in
Blocko.
Welsh?
I don't know.
Do you
Tina
know Tina
doesn't
how to say
know.
it in Welsh? Welsh?
Oh, I don't know.
I know nothing. I don't even know
I
how to say
will
it
not
in
be
sign
saying it in Welsh. I can barely say her name of her business.
How do you do it in sign language? I don't remember how you say blocked in sign language. Just stop, but that's not the same thing.
No.
What?
not
Now
blocked.
you
So,
all the cats want to come in. Sorry.
of course they do because they know Tina's cats are close.
It's a cat party.
There, you little stinker
Yeah.
shit.
Well,
Yeah.
Loki and Luna are like distant cousins, so
Yeah. They got matching mustaches.
they do have matching mustaches. It's really cute.
Well, thanks for coming, you guys. And
Thanks for having me.
go
Thanks
buy
for having
Tina's
us.
yarn so she can add to her fund to get out of New York.
That's
Yeah.
right. Fund my girl to get out of New York and then play with our Golden Girls.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have to go get my mail now because I think I have a package from Tina in it, but
Yay!
it didn't come before we started recording. So I shall go out in the rain and get it because we actually had rain today. It was so nice.
What
We had
animal is
rain
that?
yesterday and today.
We need it though because, we're like drought levels on the lake. And when we say the lake, we mean Lake Mead because that's like the only lake around.
Okay.
That's the only lake around here.
That was
We
the
got
dog,
like
not
one.
the
We
cat.
got rivers. We
There's
got
like two. There's one other one, but it's a man-made lake by some fancy neighborhood. But
Oh,
other
that
than that,
doesn't
it's like,
count.
oh.
it doesn't count.
That's
No,
not a
that's
lake.
not one of
When we
the.
say the lake,
That's
it's
not a
Lake
lake.
Mead. No. So, but thank you guys for coming on. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, send them to Tina.
Blocked in Welsh, by the way, is bistro.
Bistro.
Ooh.
Bistro.
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 Hey, Morgan, you came at the end.
Oh, thanks
You
for
look
showing
so
up,
excited.
Morgan. You've been blocked.
She's like, you guys are still fucking talking. What's wrong with you?
We're
God
tired.
bless anybody that made it the whole time. You are. A
We're
trooper.
tired, and it's
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo, and
My back.
that great American holiday.
Yeah.
My one friend from Mexico said they celebrate it here more than they do in Mexico.
Here, let me put it.
Tequila. Dun,
Amy
dun,
had a
dun,
few
dun,
tequilas, I think.
dun, 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 dun.
And on that note, I think we better let Amy
No, we
go
better
eat.
Dun, 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 dun,
So thank you
dun.
guys. Thanks for paying attention and being there with us on this
Guys.
crazy ride.
Bye.
And all the knit-alongs, pay attention to them. Don't start Amy's
Anytime
early.
she'll start early. Just don't.
But you can start Neil's early as long as you don't finish right away.
Oh, don't start Neil's early. Just do it right. Do it
Don't
the
be
right
an overachiever. Get a fucking life, man. Come on.
Right. Do it when you're supposed to.
Suck up.
All right. Bye, chat. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
She did it again.